And the crowd goes wild. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Secrets of Human Influence, Persuasion, Attraction, Connection, Charisma, and Beyond. I'm your host for the next 2.5 to 3 hours, Dr. David Snyder. And it's really, really gratifying to see so many familiar faces in visiting us from Planet David. Some of you guys, I saw Gary Evans pop in. Gary, have you been in my classes before? Your name is very familiar. You may be somebody completely different than the person I'm thinking of, or you may be that person I'm thinking of, but only you know for sure. Once. You work on cars, or you worked on cars, as I recall, did you not? No, that wasn't you? Okay. Good enough. Well, I remembered your name. So I want to thank you all for coming out and spending your evening with me. Tonight, my intention is to give you kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on the art and science of human influence, right? I'm a very big advocate of persuasion and influence training for every human being on the planet. I think it is a vastly underrated an important life skill. And when we live in a society that's governed by the rule of law, more so than the law of the jungle, I'm a big proponent of studying both, by the way. The ability to get somebody to actually want to do the things that you want them or need them to do is the most important survival skill you can have. Without cooperation from other beings, you are by all definitions doomed to extinction. So I know that's a little bit of a downer, but let's start from there, okay? And let's assume for a moment that the quality of our life is greatly determined by the quality of the influence that we yield in several different aspects. First and foremost, it's the influence that we wield over ourselves, who we are, how we move through the world, how we see ourselves, what we believe we deserve, what we believe we're capable of. Who are we in certain environments and situations, right? What is our mission in this life, right? These are all things that are, again, they're ways that we influence ourselves and then by proxy, the world around us. But then there's the art of interpersonal. So what I just talked about was what intrapersonal influence was. How do I talk to myself inside my mind and body? But then how do we communicate with other people, right? And what are the different channels by which that information flows, right? And how do we utilize that to the best of our ability to gain the maximum ethical advantage in life as humanly possible, and still be able to kind of look at ourselves in the mirror and things like that. So tonight I'm going to drop some knowledge bombs on you. I'm getting all rappy over here. Listen to me. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get some administravia out of the way really, really quick. We have a few disclaimers that we always like to share with people. First of all, shout out to the people live and in the Zoom room over there. I love you all. Thank you all so much for choosing to spend your night with me. And I hope that you come away from this training with some amazingly cool insights and techniques that you can apply out in the real world. For my YouTube audience, I love you guys. And I have my YouTube chat over here. I have my Zoom chat over here. And I've got like so many windows open. I can't see myself. I have no idea what I look like coming across the screen on you guys. But for those of you, Tommy says, David is the best in the world. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. First and foremost, if you're brand new to Planet David, or as I'm starting to call it now, the Snyderverse, we're closing on 300,000 subscribers, ladies and gentlemen. 300,000 subscribers. The last video I posted, the 6 dynamics of an unconscious response, is pretty much going viral as far as videos in our niche go, right? So I'm excited about that. If you haven't watched that video yet, I really, regardless of whether you're a first timer or you've been a veteran of Planet David for a while, I really recommend you go and watch that video. I really laid out some really important, powerful interpersonal transformation tools in there, and everything in that video is directly relevant to the influence and persuasion of other people's. It's called the 6 steps of an unconscious response. It's mind control skills. It's trending right now on our channel, so I recommend that you go and check that out when you get a chance. So tonight, if you're brand new to Plan David, type in your name, where you're checking in from, and most importantly, what is it that you want to be able to do tonight as a byproduct of tonight's training? So let me repeat that 2 or 3 times, just in case you were wondering what I want your name, where you're checking in from. This is for first timers, okay? And what is it you want to be able to do tonight as a byproduct from tonight's training, okay? Last time, then I'll move on to the veterans. Your name, where you're checking in from, and what you want to get from tonight as a byproduct of tonight's training. All right, veterans. Your name, how long you've been in Planet David, and the coolest thing that you've learned since you've started spending time here in the Snyderverse. What's the coolest thing that you've been able to take away from our trainings, from our YouTube channels, that has made a difference in your world? I would really like to know that. So David's here, and he wants to learn the secrets of the universe, Barden's book level secrets, by the way. This is not that, that's not this webinar, David, but it's all relevant. By the way, if you see this little white thing on the tip of my finger, I was opening up a powder to make a drink, and I must have had too much chi going on, and I just ripped that sucker and it exploded all over the office, and I got some kind of a metal cut on my finger. So now I have this little, I didn't have any band-aids, so I got this little flag waving on my finger there. So if you see me a little clumsy with the mouse or whatever, that's what's going on. So let's see here. We got Keith, and we got Live the 7, and then we got Freely, D from PA, right? Excellent. And Live the 7 has been here for 4 years. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So Ryan is here, newish and from Birmingham, Alabama. Welcome, Ryan. Working to have hypnotic influence at work, business, and relationships. Great. Awesome. Okay, so first and foremost, here's the deal. Let's level the playing field a little bit. So Cynthia Anna, since before COVID. Cynthia Malley, I remember you. I know you. You've actually had a starring appearance in some of my very early videos. I remember you very, very well, young lady. Glad to see you back with us. Neil's over here. Planet David for 6 year-ish. Been fabulous, especially energy healing. Okay. Austin from Planet Austin, looking to get through my first day. Water fast. Good luck with that, Austin. Fasting is not fun, right? Cynthia says it's me. Yes, I know. Tommy's from North Carolina. Mental makeover in a shit mindset and need help. Well, we can help you with that. All right. So let's start at the beginning. Are you in the right place tonight? Is this going to be the best use of your time here in Planet David? So that being said, let's find out, shall we? If you can answer yes to 2 or more of the following questions, then you are absolutely in the right place. And we are gonna, Bonnie, there's Bonnie Bonnie's been around forever and ever and ever. YouTube video, used it to cure stage 4 cancer. Not bad for a first effort. I think I need a testimonial from you and a case study, Bonnie Boots. 3 years in Snyder World, where I learned how to spin from a YouTube video and used it to cure stage 4 cancer. That doesn't suck, folks. That doesn't suck. I get so excited when people, when I get messages like that, because because that proves right there it's not about me. There's no magic in me. It's in the techniques. And if you apply these techniques to your life, you will get a result. Okay. So real quick, for those of you who would like, as a byproduct of influence, become more attractive to members of the opposite sex or the same sex, and have anyone you meet tend to find you charming, fascinating, and irresistible. If that's something you'd like more of in your life, type "that's for me" in the chat. I want that. Okay. If you'd like to banish fear from your life, to stop being afraid, banish the insecurity, and like really feel comfortable in your own skin, to move through the world and radiate confidence and be more assertive, not necessarily like dominant or but but being alpha in that loving, gentle way, right? The way that we all like to think about people who are strong, right? If that's something you'd like more of, type "that's for me" in the chat. If you'd like to be able to protect yourself from manipulation, handle difficult people far more easily than you ever thought possible. And that includes narcissists, by the way, which, by the way, in case you didn't know this, and not a lot of people do realize it, but once you know somebody is a narcissist and you're equipped with these tools, they become amazingly easy to handle and manage, because you know what they're going to do. You know what their values are, right? And so you can manage those people much more easily. I'd much rather manage them out of my life, but there are some situations and circumstances where they're just going to be there and you just have to manage them and deal with them, right? So if that's something that is on your to-do list or something you'd like to get better at, you're going to want to stick around tonight, because I got some amazingly cool opportunities for you guys. If you would like to have people thinking and feeling and acting the way you want them to, not because you want them to, but because they want to, and think it's their own idea and do all these amazingly cool things so that they naturally follow your lead, type "that's for me" in the chat. Okay. If you would like to program your own mind and body for massive financial abundance, with more money to buy the things you really want and then some, hey, maybe that's why you're here tonight, right? I'm working on a new book, which my current consultant has recommended I kind of flip the script on the way I approach things. So I'm actually having to unpack a lot of deep emotional baggage that I had to overcome, that inspired me to become an expert on influence and stuff like that. But this one really hits home to me in that part of the thing that really drove me for many, many years was I never felt safe. I never felt I was always betrayed and bullied most of my early life. And I wouldn't normally mention that, but I just happened to be working on this particular chapter today, and I had to dredge all this stuff up. And as I'm going through this list with you guys, I'm starting to remember what it was like moving through the world, thinking every single person was an enemy. Think that at any moment you could be the victim of some kind of bullying or emotional manipulation or deception or betrayal. And I made a decision very, very early on in my life that I was not going to be powerless ever again, that I was never going to let anybody have the ability to exert power over me without something I could do about it. And that decision has influenced the vast majority of the training and the programs I've explored and things of that nature. So I'm just sharing that with you because as I'm going through this list, I want you guys to know that I've been, in many cases, I am still where you are, and or I've been where you are. And these techniques have truly allowed me to rewrite the course of my life. And I know just from some of the people in their testimonials in the chat, I know what it can do for you guys if you apply this stuff. Now, if you'd like to inspire your employees or your children or your spouse to do more of what you want them to do because you want them to do it and they want to do it, type "that's for me" in the chat. If you'd like to surround yourself with people that you can actually trust, people who are loyal and supportive to you, and to be able to tell the difference between the person acting a certain way and who someone truly is, you might want to stay on until the end of tonight's webinar, because we have some amazingly cool opportunities for you. If you've ever fantasized about being Obi-Wan Kenobi, these are not the droids you're looking for, right? Putting people under your spell and having them hanging on your every word, this is probably a good place for you to be tonight, okay? The truth is, if this is the scope of every single thing there is to learn in Planet David, we got time for just this little bit right here. So my promise to you tonight is I will take you as far down the persuasion and influence rabbit hole as I know how to do in the time that we have. I will pull back the curtain. I will share with you the fastest, simplest, most easily applicable techniques possible. I will show you how to get access to the complete system from which those super radioactive nuggets are drawn from. And I will point you in the direction of where to go to level your skills up to world-class level or elite class level, if that's something that you feel inspired to do. Is that a fair trade? If you think that's a fair trade, type that in the chat for me. Cool. All right. So here's how things are going to do tonight. What I need you guys to do tonight is I need to make sure you have a couple of things on tap or within arm's reach, for lack of a better word, but even more so that you have the mindset that we need to employ if we want to become truly excellent at influencing human beings to do what we want them to do. There's some key principles that we need to cover. So you're going to need something to write on, something to write with. I would prefer that it's something you can actually physically write on rather than typing on a keyboard, okay? Cursive writing and printing using your hand will actually stimulate the cortical pathways in your brain differently than if you just type in, okay? There is some level of activation from typing, I get that. But when we do the writing part, the brain becomes more active. And that's one of the things that separates our particular school of influence from many other approaches to influence, is that it works with this idea of neurological absorption. It works with this idea that the more regions of the brain we get fired up and interacting in alignment, the more rapidly the entire system comes online in the direction we want it to go. So we're going to divide tonight's webinar up into 3 parts. First part of this webinar is principles, foundations, and fundamentals. In other words, these are the absolute must-have pieces of things you need to understand in order to employ what we're going to teach you in part 3 of the webinar, which is technique and application. We're going to give you techniques on the front end as well, but they're going to be foundational fundamentals that are the building blocks of more in-depth techniques that we'll cover in part 3 of tonight's webinar. Part 2 of the webinar is next steps, how to go from where you're at to full access to the system, the special training opportunities we have available for you. And then we're going to circle back to part 3, and we're going to customize the content of tonight's webinar so that it's specific to exactly what you guys most want to learn about. That's why I asked you at the beginning of the webinar, type in to the webinar, if you took one thing away from tonight's webinar in terms of knowledge or skill set, what would that one thing be? What would you want to be able to do, right? Because at the end of tonight's webinar and part 3 of tonight's webinar, we're going to drill down on those specific applications to the best of my ability in the time that we have. And I'm going to give you techniques that you can start taking out into the field right away. And that's the beauty of what you're about to learn over the next 90 minutes, 2 hours, however long it's going to be. And that is this: you don't have to believe a single thing that comes out of my mouth tonight. Belief is not necessary for this stuff to work for you. We've taken a long time in Planet David to study and understand the way the human nervous system works, the way it relates to what we call subjective experience, right? Beliefs, thoughts, fantasies, ideas, desires, emotions, and distilled all of our techniques down to a specific set of procedures and mechanics. We've minimized the need for you to believe something in order for it to work for you. If you just have the right energy, and we'll talk about energy in a minute, you have the right energy, the right perspective, and you follow step A, step B, step C, step D, you will get your outcome more often than you won't. I don't have time. I'm a very busy guy. I don't waste my time on low percentage technique. I'm pretty sure you guys are the same way. You don't want to waste your time fooling around or screwing around with something that only gets your result 25% of the time. In our world, if it doesn't hit a 9 out of 10 or a 90% out of 10 out of 100 consistently, we don't teach it. Okay? That's just how it rolls. Okay? So that being said, for those of you who are new to Planet David, you may be wondering, who the heck is this Snyder guy, and why should I even begin to believe anything he's telling me? And so in the interest of, just being, what's the word, like comprehensive, I call this the Dr. David Dog and Pony Show, right? Who the heck is Dr. David Snyder, and why should I care? First and foremost, I am in fact an actual doctor. I have two doctorates. One is a medical doctor, Oriental medical doctor. This is a copy of my diploma from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. I graduated from their doctoral program in 2019. I've been a practicing therapist since 2005, where my practice and my focus has been treating physiological illness that's caused by repressed emotion. So while a lot of neurolinguistic programmers, hypnotists, energy healers, they deal with a lot of simple things like weight loss, smoke cessation, things of that nature. 90% of my clients, my patients, were all medical referrals. Usually it started with chronic pain and it went to chronic illness. And from there, it just kept expanding outward into all forms of PTSD, post-traumatic stress, Crohn's, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, lupus, a lot of rheumatoid, a lot of autoimmune stuff came in. And one of the things we discovered was, as we started unpacking a lot of the roots of these illnesses, we discovered emotions. Emotions were at the seat, the repressed emotion and the anatomy of the structures of thought were at the root of these physiological manifestations. And by unpacking and deconstructing those thoughts and those emotions locked in the system, we can move the body and the person back towards health. Okay, so when we start talking about how the mind works, you have to understand that we've explored this idea, this concept of influence from many different perspectives, but they all pass through one crossroads, no matter what the application is, whether it's dating and seduction and attraction, whether it's sales, influence, or mediation, whether it's healing or therapy or coaching or ballet or martial arts or well, anything human beings do, they all pass through one place in order to be expressed and utilized. And that's your autonomic nervous system. So the question became, all right, how does the autonomic nervous system, what's that operating system look like? What's the code that allows us to just write anything we want and have the system do what we tell it to do? Turns out that there are some very, very simple, powerful formulas that when you apply them, the brain and the body behave in very consistent ways, cross-contextually. So I want you to understand that on the surface, what I'm talking about may sound daunting, it may sound confusing, but in application, there's only a few things you need to know and be willing to do to be successful. That being said, what you'll see here is, for the last 9 years, I've been among the top 2 NLP trainers in the world, as voted by globalgurus.org. I've authored and created over 15 different products and courses on various forms of human influence, body language, personality profiling, transformation, manifestation. What you're seeing behind me here is a copy of our Global Gurus page. This is from 2020, when I actually beat the great and powerful Richard Bandler. For that one time, I was named the #1 NLP trainer in the world. I've been the number 2 guy next to Richard now for about 9 years, if my math is correct. So we're doing something right? And so a lot of the concepts and technologies and techniques I'm going to be sharing with you are a result of these many years of study. So what you're seeing here is a letter from our Global Gurus platform. And this was from 2022. We've got one from 2023 and 2024. I just haven't posted them yet. And it says, with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for NLP as of 2022. It's actually 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. For 2024, we dropped to #2. Somebody beat us. So I'm actually doing more NLP trainings this year because I want to get our ranking back up. I've been avoiding classical, or my approach to NLP certification, for a while. We've totally revamped our NLP training. So I'm excited to launch it for you guys and show you what it's about. This is a copy of our Global Gurus page. This is from 2021. As you can see here, we're ranked the #1 NLP training. And the reason I bring this up is because the techniques I'm going to share with you tonight are drawn directly from this program. Okay. And this is actually this training is a part of the package that we'll be offering you tonight if you guys decide you want to go deeper into the realm of persuasion and influence. So I'm I got more martial arts credentials than McDonald's sells hamburgers. I would have a 10th degree black belt in Okinawan karate, 4th degree black belt Shaolin Kun Tao, 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo, 1st degree black belt in Fan Kuru. I've got lots and lots and lots of energy healing credentials. I just got my 2nd doctorate in Taoist Chinese energetic medicine. This needs to be updated. I'm actually a doctor in this. This is a spiritual training program. So this is like a priest doctorate as opposed to a more medical doctorate that came from Pacific College. But I've covered both sides of the spectrum with this. And where they all meet is the autonomic nervous system. So whether you're into the woo or not the woo, it's all about your ANS, and that's not to be confused with your anus. It's your ANS, your autonomic nervous system. Okay, so oops, and what do all these things have in common? Pattern recognition. This is what makes what we do and what you're going to learn tonight so amazingly, irresistibly powerful. And that's a big claim, and I get that, and I know that the FTC and all the powers that be are going to be all over me for saying a rather big claim like that. But I'm going to tell you something. Everything human beings do has a structure. We have a process or a pattern. We have a structure and a pattern and a process to the way we stand. We have a structure, a pattern, and a process to the way that we walk. We have a structure and a process to the way we move and we breathe, and we have certain thoughts and the way we have certain emotions and certain kinds of feelings. Everything that passes through your autonomic nervous system has a definable, discernible structure and pattern. And when you have the ability to recognize those patterns, because the most fascinating thing about humans is that they're expressing these patterns at every level of their existence, from the way they talk, to the way their eyes move, to the way they gesture, to where they gesture. There is a more fractal, holographic information process going on, that if you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, you can identify those patterns and you can use them. And that's true in martial arts, it's true in NLP, it's true in Oriental medicine, it's true in all forms of human interaction and communication. So when I say pattern, what do these have in common? Pattern recognition, what does that have to do with human influence? Pretty much everything. Okay, I'm going to jump out of the PowerPoint for now. And here's my promise to you. If you guys can hang out with me for the next 2.5 hours, 3 hours, however long it's going to be, I promise you this. I'm going to teach you in the best way possible, the fastest, most powerful way, and ethical way. This is the important piece. The most ethical way to influence anyone you meet to like, love, trust, and possibly obey you consistently, cross-contextually. Okay? I'm going to teach you in very simple ways how to have people hanging on your every word, how you can literally become the most fascinating person in another human's life and leave such an impression on that person that days and weeks after that you've talked to them, they're still thinking about you and they want to see you again. Okay. I'm going to teach you how to have people eager to do whatever you want them to do and have them think it's their own idea. Would any of those things be useful? If you could, if I could just give you those 3 things, would that change your life? Type in the chat if that's true for you. Right? Richard says absolutely. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I got more. I'm also going to teach you tonight how to control your emotions and remove resistance to yours. What if you could just, anytime somebody told you no, you could in 3 minutes, you could have them actually justifying why they want to do the thing they just told you they didn't want to do. What if you could just completely do an about face in an ethical, honest way? Would that be something that might be useful for you? What if you could actually take that same technique and use it to get rid of people's physical pain or emotional pain? Would that be an extra bonus? Because we've actually done that. You can actually go to my YouTube channel and watch me do it. I actually have a video called instant conversational pain relief, where I literally argue somebody out of back pain. Okay. Again, I'm trying very hard not to be hyperbolistic, right? As the greatest showman would say, right? But the truth is that these things happen regularly in our world, right? And it just gets better after that. So if you're willing to hang out with me, if you're willing to follow my process, to do what I say, I promise you, I will give you the exact steps that you need to go from interesting information to maximum transformation and communication and persuasion ability in the shortest amount of time possible. Is that a fair, are we good with that? Okay. So here's specifically what we're going to cover tonight in terms of technique. I'm going to be honest with you up front. I'm going to give you a lot of principles on the front end of this webinar because you need them. There's certain things you need to understand in order to more confidently apply these techniques. You don't need to believe them, but you do need to actually do them, right? All the techniques I share with you, they don't make a difference if they actually never leave your mouth. And so I find that giving people certain key principles allows people to do these things more intentionally and confidently in a fun, playful way. And so tonight, before we're done, I'm going to have shown you the secret backdoor into every human being's nervous system. The one technique that causes people to open up and tell you everything you want to know about them and have them hanging on your every word. A technique that causes people to give you their maximum attention, focus, and connection in the shortest amount of time possible. Okay. And in fact, they're the most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment. I want to teach you, depending on how much time we have, what I call the secrets of emotional bonding. Okay. And emotional bonding and attraction is the thing we're all moving through the world looking to satisfy. It's a little bit different than the backdoor part. The backdoor part pings our radar. It activates our nervous system in such a way that we orient on a particular person or message. And then using emotional bonding, we use that connection that we've made to find out what a person's emotional needs truly are and how they know they're being satisfied. And we bond them to us, our product, or our service. Once we have this information, that person will literally do whatever we want them to do within that context every time we use, in most cases, pretty much every time we use these data points effectively. Okay, it's the closest thing to a slam dunk that I can give you. In the realm of persuasion and influence, there's no such thing as 100%, 100% of the time, but we get really close. I think we probably get closer, in my opinion, at the risk of sounding hyperbolistic again, we probably get closer than anyone, right? Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, that means you're going to ask me to buy something later and I'm going to say no, and I'm going to prove you wrong. Yeah, you probably will, right? But it's not about me. It's about you, right? It's about you getting the tools you need to move forward, right? One of the big challenges of being a persuasion instructor is everybody's out to prove they can't be persuaded, right? It's one of those catch-22s, but I'm not the one who misses out. It's the people who say no when they see something right in front of them that can change their life, and they say no just to prove that they can. Okay, I recommend you maybe put that on a shelf for a while. I want to teach you about something. We're not going to have time to drill down really deep into it, but there are 4 things I want you to understand called the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence. And the reason we talk about this is because these 4 pillars are being used on you all the time, whether you're conscious of it or not. You can't avoid their use. You can't avoid them being used on you. What you can do, though, is you can become progressively more aware of them so that you can choose what to let influence you and what to ignore or resist. Okay, so my first job as your teacher and your friend, and that's what I consider us to be. We're friends, we're family here. The Planet David community is a group of the most amazing, wonderful, talented, motivated people I've ever met. They're passionate about these things. They're passionate about making their world to the vision they have of themselves, of being a better version of themselves. They're tired, they're frustrated with the old ways of doing things. Right. And that's what I love about you guys. You don't have the time for bullshit. You're just like me. Right. 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence: authority, attractivity, affinity, and acquiescence. These are 4 pillars of global hypnotic influence that will cause people to behave in very, very consistent, very, very predictable ways. Okay. And if you understand these 4 pillars, you can use them in your own life. But at the same time, you can start to become aware of how they're being used around you. So to close the loop on job 1 as your teacher, friend, guide, mentor, whatever word you want to use, is to help you become progressively more aware, to help you to see the world and yourself through a different set of lenses that gives you more choice. So this is the first axiom of influence that I'd like you to write down. Without awareness, there is no choice. Let me say that. I'll tell you that 2 more times for you guys. Without awareness, there is no choice. Okay. Second corollary where awareness is concerned: anything outside of your influence is outside of your control. I'll say that 2 more times in case people are taking notes. Anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. Last time. Anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. Addendum to that last statement: just because something is outside of your awareness does not mean it isn't controlling you. Again, just because something is outside of your awareness does not mean it's not controlling you. So just because you can't perceive it doesn't mean you're not being influenced by it. I could show you any number of ways to influence you below the threshold of conscious awareness, and you won't ever notice it unless I point it out. Okay, that's the study I've been on. That's the journey I've been on for 30 plus years, actually longer than that, right? But so my first job for you is to help you to open up the attention span, open up the awareness, take the blinders off, so to speak, so you can perceive the world differently. In Planet David, we call it seeing the matrix, right? We like to use a lot of movie terms. Why do we do all this? It's very simple. So you can take control. You can take your life back and you can make it what you want it to be. Okay. But one of the hardest lessons that we've learned here in Planet David, the Snyderverse, for lack of a better word, is this. And I don't really talk about this too much because it kind of brings people down sometimes. But hey, we're being real here. You will never make the world what you want it to be until you can deal with it and influence it the way it is. Let me say that a couple more times. You will never make your world what you want it to be until you can deal with the world and influence the world the way it is. You will never make your world what you want it to be until you can influence the world the way it is. We have to start there, which sometimes means talking about things that may be considered politically incorrect, or it may be considered provocative, or some people might take offense or people who are overly idealistic may say, well, that's just wrong. It shouldn't be that way. You're right. There are certain things that simply shouldn't be the way they are, but they are. And if you can't change them, you have to manage them. So control isn't about having a death grip on a way of thinking. Control is about having the ability to adapt to whatever you're dealing with, whatever you're faced with, and becoming the person who can manage that situation in the direction of what you actually want. Which brings us to 2 things. A, the first step in influence, and this goes for every single thing we're going to cover in tonight's webinar. The first step in influence is knowing what you want, knowing your outcome. Okay. You have to know what you want. I'm going to teach you a 7-step protocol tonight. By the way, if it looks like I just got really short, It's because I'm having all kinds of weird things happen on my Zoom. I will try to fix that momentarily. So you guys with me so far? Has this given you guys some things to think about? Agnes says, is it the skill of being able to gauge the situation and act accordingly. We call that situational awareness, and it's important. Okay. Most people who fail at influence don't fail because they don't have good techniques. You know what? This really bothers me. It shouldn't bother me, but it does. Give me 1 minute to restart my camera. All right. I'm back. Am I back? And I'm full size again. All right. So what was I talking about? What was the last thing you heard me say? Four pillars. Lisa's asking about the four pillars: authority, attractivity, affinity, acquiescence. Okay. Situational awareness. The ability to know, to perceive something and then change yourself to fit the environment is what true control really is. If you've ever heard the expression, true control is the ability to give up control, that's more true than it isn't. Okay. Larry says, David, you grew up. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I don't know how long that'll last, but we'll give it a shot. Right. It's my ever since I've been doing a lot of this advanced energy work, all of my electronics have been going super wonky lately. So I apologize for any weird glitches that may happen. So anything outside of your awareness is outside of your control. Just because you're not aware of it doesn't mean it isn't controlling you. You never begin any persuasion interaction without having an outcome in mind. All good influencers are outcome driven. Sometimes that's a very big global, big picture type of an outcome. Sometimes it's a very specific thing that they're going for. But regardless of where you're interacting, regardless of what the context is, you've got to know what you want and you've got to know how you're getting it. Okay, so I'll say that 2 more times. You got to know what you want and you got to know, you have to have a way to measure how you're getting it. Okay, that's step 0 in our universal persuasion protocol. What do I want? How do I know when I'm getting it? If I don't have that in place, I'm flying blind, right? I'm probably going to wind up with something else. Okay. Are we good so far? Cool. All right. So let's give you your next axiom, your next principle of human influence. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. In NLP parlance, we have this concept called metaprograms. And in metaprograms are filters to the human perceptual system and data processing system that define how we organize data, how we prioritize it, what we look for first, what we look for second, how we check what we're seeing or what we're processing. So some people are towards people. They move towards the things they want, right? If you've been around the persuasion and influence world for any length of time, you've probably heard that idea. I'm a towards person. I'm an away from person, right? Then there's people who move away from the things they don't want. Now, one of the big misconceptions when it comes to influence, is that people are one or the other. That you're either a towards or an away from. The truth is, we're both. We're both. We're towards and away from. The question becomes, which one do we do first? Am I a towards and then an away from, or am I an away from and then a towards? That's what's important. We do both functionally. And when we have both of those in place, we have what NLP likes to call a propulsion system. So the first thing we want to know when we're influencing people is, what are they moving towards? What do they want? right? Because the order that a person does something, and we talked about this on the video, 6 Dynamics of an Unconscious Response, the syntax or order that they do things is one of the most important factors in influence and persuasion, and it's completely below the threshold of conscious awareness. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little advanced training on this idea of towards and away from. Whether you consider yourself a towards person and then an away from, or an away from person and then a towards, theoretically, there's only two choices, right? Here's what we know. Everyone is away from. And the away from will be stronger than the towards. So here's here's another principle that I want you to understand that goes to everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. A, if your nervous system is the big judge of good events and bad events and how important something is to you or how much impact something is to you, if one good thing happens to me, my nervous system, your nervous system, will assign a gravity score of 1. One good thing, 1 unit of gravity. Makes sense. One bad thing happens to me, my nervous system assigns a gravity of 4. So let's do the math. One good thing, 1 point. One bad thing, 4 points. This is why we tend to skew negative most of the time. Is it the same in all people? Based on the neuroscience, Martin, yes. If you want to research that, the book you want to reference is called The Power of Bad by Roy Baumeister. There was 2 authors, and John Tierney, I think, is the other author. Roy Baumeister, John Tierney. Okay, very, very powerful for those of you who are running teams or leading groups and managing groups. There's this idea that if I have one underperforming employee and I surround that employee with high-level performers, that will somehow raise that person up. It will raise the problem employee up. That's actually not what happens in the studies. What's seen systemically is when you have one negative person, one person who's underperforming or being a Debbie Downer or whatever word you want to use to it, they will drag the other members of the team down. The other members of the team will not perform at their highest level because of that one negative person in the group. Now, this is really important when if you're gonna do group influence and things of that nature, because, and it also goes to the idea that the people you surround yourself with, like there's this belief, and again, this gets a little bit more wooey, but I'm just gonna, in the mystical and shamanic and spiritual traditions that I study, we're always on this quest to raise our vibration, right? To become more enlightened. Here's the problem with that, is that if you are on a path that's taking you in a certain direction, but the people in your life aren't, they will pull you down. Okay? This is it's a harsh truth, guys. It's a harsh one. It's one we don't want to accept. It's one we rail against. And here's the thing we understand, that behavior, that dynamic is not necessarily intentional, right? We have Freely's talking about crabs in a bucket metaphor, where if you have a bunch of crabs in a bucket, you don't have to cover the top of the bucket, because what happens is as those crabs try to climb on top of each other to get out, as one's about to get out, the crab will reach up, grab the crab that's going to get out and pull it down back into the bowl or back into the bucket, right? So this idea that we can lift people up by surrounding them with good people, the numbers say that the odds are against it. I'm not going to say it can't happen in exceptional cases, but you need to understand from a group dynamic perspective that your ability to be your best version of yourself will be dramatically influenced by who you choose to surround yourself with. Okay, the spiritual world has been saying this for centuries. The neuroscience world is now validating the same idea. You need to surround yourself with people who are going to build you up and are in alignment with who you want to be. Now, what does this have to do with towards and away from? Power of bad. Everybody is an away from person. If your nervous system has to choose bad stimulus, to move away from the bad stimulus or towards the good stimulus, the bad stimulus has 4 times more juice than the good stimulus. This is why, by the way, your news that you hear is always negative. This is why everybody's talking about all the bad stuff. Your system is polarized to negativity because that's more important to survival. You've got to deal with the bad shit in order to stay alive. That's how we evolve. You're not going to change it. Let me explain that. As my friend Chase Hughes likes to say, you are not going to meditate your way out of millions of years of evolution. Right? That's why so many mystics barricade themselves in caves and mountains and monasteries, to minimize that function so they can focus on other things. We don't have that option. We're here to live in and work in the video game. We're here to make our life what we want it to be, so we need to understand these principles. So here's the first thing I'm going to teach. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. The fastest way to change a person's decisions, the fastest way to get somebody to do something of their own accord, to see the world the way you want them to see it, is to change their body feelings. Change their body feelings. The reticular activating reticular formation system shifts, their perceptual filters shift, and they see the world through a different set of lenses and filters that is in alignment with their body feelings. And it will reinforce and reinstall and reinvigorate the energy in that system, and it'll move in the direction of that. The fastest way to change another person's body feelings is to change yours first. If I see somebody who's having a bad day and I go and ask them for something, they're far more likely to say no if they remain in that bad mood. But if I can go up to them, interrupt their state, trigger a happier, more joyful, wonderful state, and then I make my request or I make my suggestion or direction, they're far more likely to want to do what I want them to do. They're more likely to acquiesce to my direction or request. Now that's intuitive. We all know this from children, right? How many of you by a show of that's me in the chat have ever been little children? Go ahead, don't be bashful. How many people have ever been? There's always one that says, I was never a child. I was raised in a test tube, right? No, we're all children. And we all know that when you're a child, if there was something we wanted, we would look at mom, we'd look at dad, we try to figure out who's in the better mood. And that's the parent we would approach. True or not true? Exactly. So on some very deep level, we know and understand this. But it is a principle, it is a phenomenon that once we understand that it drives the meat, it drives so much of our decision making, we can intentionally use this. The fastest way to do that is by hacking your own mirror neuron network. What? What's a mirror neuron? How many people here do not know what mirror neurons are? If you know, type I know. If you don't know, type I don't know. This is the interactive portion of our webinar, by the way. Don't know. Okay. Mirror neurons are physiological structures in the body that take information from the outside world that other people are doing or are engaging in, and it fires the same neurological and cortical pathways in our body as the person that we're observing. So the way this was discovered, just to give you an idea, there were some researchers in Italy that were working with monkeys, and they had the monkeys strapped, I think it was to an EEG. And one of the lab assistants was peeling a banana. And the monkey who was strapped into the machine was watching the lab assistant peel the banana. And one of the other technicians noticed something, that as the monkey was watching the technician peeling the banana, technician number 2 noticed that all the different parts of the monkey's brain that would be firing if the monkey itself were peeling the banana were firing. Turns out all of us have these mirror neurons. These mirror neurons are a subject of massive study in the fields of autism, learning, how we acquire language, all different types of processes where learning and understanding intention is involved. So if that's true, if I can create neurological change in somebody who's observing me, and whatever neurologic and whatever they're seeing me do, that person internally copies below the threshold of conscious awareness, then if I can have control of my own mind and body and intentionally go through a series of internal processes, as I said, they're intentionally go through a set of processes that change my state, I can, below the threshold of conscious awareness, prime that person to go into the same state. Does that make sense? Think about copying a software program. They connect to me, I connect to them, our mirror neurons are connecting. I go into a certain state. If I have that connection long enough and strong enough, their system will start to follow. That's what a mirror neuron does. It does it with physical actions. It does it with emotions. Right? There's other players to the game, but I'm just giving you one. There's the cardiac nervous system, the proprioceptive neurology, as well as the mirror neuron network that all play into this. But the basic idea is this. If there's someone I want to influence, I need to trigger body feelings in them that make them feel a certain way, that make them open to me. The fastest way for me to do that is to change my state. Does that make sense? Okay, let me ask you a question. What if you could be up to 31% better at everything? Like everything. What if you were 31% more charismatic, 31% a faster thinker, 31% more assertive, 31% more charisma? And what if the people that you influenced were up to 31% more compliant to you? Would that change things for you? And you only had to do one thing. If you only had to do one thing, that would happen. But how would that change? I'm curious, because I'm asking you questions. I want you to put yourself in these situations and see it through that lens so you can appreciate where we're going. What if you had that ability? What if you could just what if you heard yes 31% more times? Callum says, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. You're not wrong. I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'm going to tell you how to do that right now. Would that be okay? 2 words. You ready? Be playful. I'm going to say it 2 more times in case you thought you heard me wrong. Be playful. What do I mean by that? Some of you know a lot of you know who I am, obviously. You may have heard of a book called Never Split the Difference, a gentleman by the name of Chris Voss. He was the former lead hostage negotiator for the FBI. Brilliant guy. I was watching an interview with him 2-3 years ago, I guess it was. Maybe it was a little longer. And I think it was like a real estate podcast or something like that. And he said that when the hostage negotiator is in a playful, casual, easygoing, explorational, let's see what happens mindset, he is up to 31% more aware, 31% more adaptable, 31% more persuasive, 31% faster at solving problems. And his counterpart, the bad guy, the hostage taker, is up to 31% more compliant. Now think about this for a moment. Aside from maybe a pickup bar in Los Angeles, Is there a more hostile environment than a hostage negotiation? Is there a more worst case scenario than a hostage negotiation? So my question for you is, if that metric holds true in hostage negotiation, how much more easier is it to apply, and how much more powerful can it be when you do it? Right? So let's put it all together. Everything human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. The fastest way to change a person's decision is to change their body feelings. The fastest way to change another person's body feelings is to change yours first. What do you change it to? Playful, easygoing, explorational. Why? Because it amplifies you by up to 31%, and it makes them 31% more open to your influence. You see how one simple principle? The question becomes, though, how do we actually, so pardon me, I dropped something on the floor that I need to pick up. The question becomes, how do we do that? How do we become more playful? Would you guys like to know how to become more playful? Yes? Okay. So for this next part, this does involve altered state work. So if you're driving, operating machinery, or doing anything that requires your full, complete, and undivided attention to remain safe and alive, do not do this exercise. Okay? If you want to do this exercise along with us, then find a place to park your car, put the car in park, put on the parking brake, turn off the ignition, make sure you will not be disturbed. Okay? Now, in our trainings, we have a special day that we devote to nothing but the ability to control your own mind and body, to enter and exit any emotional state on demand at will. Now, the side effect of this, aside from the influence potential, the ability to get someone up to 31% more compliant with you, is that you learn about you and what your emotional range is, and it becomes harder and harder and harder for other people to push your buttons ever again. Would that be useful? If you could, the moment somebody tried to get under your skin, piss you off, manipulate you emotionally, that you could just change it on a dime. Would that be helpful? That's lesson one in the killer influence system. That's day one. We spend the entire day teaching you how to be unflappable and super charismatic. And then we just leverage the techniques on top of that. We're going to give you a piece of that right now. We're going to teach you something that is probably one of the most powerful but simplest things that you can do. If you did this one exercise every day, your life will change. Okay? So this is called physiological state control. Everything that your psychology is controlled by your physiology. So for every psycho-emotional state a human being has, there's a corresponding posture and breathing pattern that allows that psycho-emotional state to manifest. If you understand that mechanism, then you can hack your own emotions anytime you want to and get out of an unresourceful state and into a positive state on demand. How many of you are familiar with a woman by the name of Amy Cuddy, or power poses? How many of you are familiar with that? Anybody? Okay. So if you haven't, then I recommend you check out her TED Talk, Power Poses. Now, Dr. Cuddy did the science behind what we do. We go far deeper into posture work and state control than she does in hers, or at least the work I've studied of hers. But she's got the hard science. And if you understand her work on power posing, you'll understand why this is so important in the terms of human influence. Okay. So for those of you who want to do this, I want you all to stand up. And I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to think of a time when you were feeling the most playful, joyful, fun experience ever. right? I just imagine, just close your eyes. I want you to see what you were seeing in that moment, hear what you were hearing in that moment, smell and taste what you were smelling and tasting in that moment, and notice something. But there's a place in your body where those wonderful feelings start, where they grow, where they spread from. Take a moment, notice where you feel that and point to it. Notice there's a color connected to those feelings. I want you to imagine a brilliant ball of that energy floating above your head. Notice how the feelings in your body shift and changes with every breath you take and every beat of your heart. That ball of energy begins to grow, begins to expand, begins to fill the entire room from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, and all points in between. Notice how it wraps itself around you like an amazing blanket of fun, playfulness, curiosity, exploration, whatever word you assign to that. A cocoon, a shield, a suit of armor, insulating you, protecting you from all downers, real or imagined, while at the same time flooding your mind, flooding your body, flooding your spirit with everything it most wants, everything it most needs in an infinite, ever expanding and unlimited supply. And when you know you've got that, I want you to go ahead and breathe those colors through your entire being. Let it fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon, anchored in so fully, so completely, no force in the universe can turn it off or take it away, not even you. When you know you've got that, you know it's locked in, go ahead and test that. Try to turn it off, try to take it away, and notice what happens instead. When you're satisfied, stop testing. Allow that level of relaxation to flow from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes, deeper and deeper. Allow your eyes to open. Notice how good you feel. Tell me, type in the chat, what did you discover? What did you learn from this experience? Okay. That's how fast you can shift state. Okay. Now, in the killer influence system, Defense Against the Dark Arts, NLP Ultra, those derivative trainings, we have a whole progression of exercises that we go through. And once you go through that entire set of processes, no one can push your buttons for any length of time ever again. But this is one of the fastest ways that we can align our minds and bodies, our posture and our breathing, to access a fun, playful, resourceful state on demand anytime. We call this color breathing. And in this context, it's one of the tools we use for state control. We can also use it to get rid of pain and suffering, get rid of fears, phobias, all kinds of trauma. We have whole trainings devoted to expansions on this idea, this concept. Okay. So what did you guys notice when you tried to turn it off? Aurelia says, I felt resistance to resisting. That's right. That's usually how you know you're getting there. Nice, right? Now, think about how long that took, right? And this is, for most of you, this is your first time doing it. Okay. Charlotte says it felt normalized. Yes. Yes, because your body likes these feelings. Your body likes to be here. Okay. The more you train this, again, if we just do it once on this webinar, it's just a parlor trick. But if you practice it 10, 20 times a day, just a minute here, a minute there, everything about your internal world is going to shift. Your perceptual filters are going to shift, and people are just going to start becoming much more compliant. They're just going to go along. You're going to bypass a lot of people's defense mechanisms. Okay. Keith says, eased a backache on chat in 3 seconds. Boom. Okay. A lot of different things you can do with this. But the idea here is that this is what we have to have an outcome, and then we have to be able to control our state. We have to get control of our state. We have to get rapport with the other individual. We have to use our language effectively. We have to use those 4 things to manage the state of the subject. We need to jump into whatever process they use for making a certain type of decision. And we have to emotionally bond to the things that are most important to them. Okay. Now that sounds like a big job. It sounds like an awful lot. What if we could do it in 2 techniques? What if we could do it in 1 technique? Would that be useful? Would that be helpful? Of course, Agnes says, right? Okay. So here's my job. We're at the 1 hour mark in the training. All right. I've given you the concepts that I need you to embody. Okay. If you came away from today with nothing but your state control and you move through the world embodying that state control without knowing anything else, you would be up to 31% more influential. Okay. Now, spider bite, if you're having trouble getting out of your head, it's probably because your posture is wrong. Remember, I said before the exercise, there's two things we wanted to understand. For every psycho-emotional state that you have, there is a corresponding posture and breathing pattern that enables that. Okay, we did a color breathing exercise, but we didn't tackle the posture. We didn't tag the posture onto that. Now, you can still have a chatty brain and do this process. Okay. Coyote Ugly says, looking around like we were in a classroom. I'm not sure how to take that. Anyway, but if with your permission, I'd like to show you how to get access to a bunch of the other programs that we put together for you, and to really kind of help you to decide if you want to level this up. Okay. I apologize for being in leprechaun mode again. I'm not sure why this keeps happening, but hopefully, so you guys said is it okay to teach you where this stuff comes from and show you how to get access to it? Would that be okay? Spider-Bite says, I have a very straight back. Richard says, do it. I think Richard just likes when I go into this mode so he can see me doing my Monty Hall imitations. I could be wrong. Anyway. Okay, well, since you've given me permission, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about something we put together for you. This is the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Home Study Program. This is a course that I'm very, very proud of. When I design programs that I would want to take. I spent a lot of years bouncing. Let me do it this way. I spent a lot of years bouncing from training to training, looking for the little gold nuggets. And nobody ever really had everything. And so I spent a lot of years digging, shoveling a lot of poop. And so what this is the gold I found along the way. Okay. So the Secrets of Human Influence is all about helping you take your life to the next level. It's about making more money, obviously. It's about closing more business deals in a way that are win-win. It's about getting more dates. It's about helping more people feel more confident, being more powerful, winning the game of life, and becoming more charming, charismatic, and irresistible. That was my goal from the time I was 10, 11 years old. Being bullied every single day, being lied to, betrayed, being socially awkward, and not knowing how to be wanted and accepted and heard and invited and included. That was my goal. That was one of my big drivers to becoming the person I am today, vests and all, and this program, if I'd had this kind of training in those days, it would have made so much difference in my life. It would have saved so much time and energy and pain. And I'm hoping that it will do that for you. I know it will if you take it. But this offer that I'm about to share with you is good until tonight at 11:59 p.m. And that's today, May 12th, 2025. And it's going to include our Secrets of Human Influence 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. Right? It's a 17 video program that covers the 7 stages: how to isolate and identify your outcomes, how to control your state and think like a master of influence, how to control your own psycho-emotional state so no one else can push your buttons ever again. But more importantly, it's going to teach you the 3 levels of rapport that allow you to take the emotional states that you're generating and transfer them through your mirror neurons, proprioception, and the heart coherence phenomena, how to transfer those body feelings and states into other people so that their reticular activating system shifts and they perceive the world through the filter that you've installed. I'm going to teach you the 7 most powerful and irresistible hypnotic language patterns that exist. These are patterns that I've spent the last 30 years researching, testing, and trying to find something that beats them. Nothing beats these patterns. And the reason that they're so irresistible is because they mirror the structure of internal thoughts and the filters that govern everything your nervous system does to give you the experience of the world around you. So much so that the screen is blank. Hold on a second. Is it still blank? Okay. So it's all about, well, let's play for a moment. I was back for a moment and it's blanking. Let me try this again. I apologize. Apparently we're having all kinds of weird. So Jodianne, what are you saying? Is can you see the screen or not? You can see the screen? Okay. All right, good. So imagine this for a moment. On top of everything I've already discussed, what if you had the ability to subtly, secretly, but ethically influence a person's focus of attention so that they only paid attention to the things that you wanted them to and ignored everything else? Would that be a useful skill to have? One language pattern does all that. What if you had the ability to install programs into people just by describing them and have their brain automatically run that program without any conscious involvement on their part? Click on the David Snyder screen on top of yours. Okay. One language pattern does that. What if you had the ability to make anything you want seem to cause anything you want in the minds of your subject? Where you could link, even if those things had nothing in common with each other, you could make one thing seem to cause something else. One language pattern can do that conveniently, without fail, every single time. What if you had the ability to make anything you want mean anything you want in the minds of your listener or your reader or your viewer? Right? What could you do with superpowers like that? Well, mental manipulation for sure, but couldn't you create really powerful, compelling communication that makes people hang on every word? Couldn't you give people experiences that would just completely blow them away and captivate and spellbind them? Right? What if you could use it to heal people? What if you could use it to inspire and motivate and lead? Right? That's what we're talking about. And that's what the irresistible hypnotic language pattern training will do for you on top of everything else. Right? What if you could use that to manage the emotional states of others so that you could move them and inspire them in the direction of their highest good, in the way that gets you both the things that you want? We're going to teach you how to do that. Right? What if you could learn how to speed read anyone in 90 seconds or less? Part of the training. That and a whole lot more. We're going to include in there the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto. This is a special master text that I created many, many years ago for my elite persuasion students. It's the one that's allowed us to become the #1 NLP training program in the world. And we didn't even promote Killer Influence as an NLP class, and it was still voted the #1 course. This was a program, the skills that this program is based on allowed me to go through my entire undergraduate education on writing scholarships and to be the president of Phi Theta Kappa, vice president of leadership, the editor of my school newspaper. And that was, again, there's so much here that I'm very proud of. And this was a game changer for me. And I think, and I believe, I know that when you apply these things, you're going to change too. So the total value on this is $2,497, but we're not going to stop there. If you grab your program today, then we're going to include some very special bonuses, things that are going to help you round out your training, make it easier and more user-friendly for you, and just allow you to fully expand your life in the direction of your highest good. Okay. So if you grab your program now, we're going to include these special bonuses for you. We're going to include weapons of mass instruction. Now, weapons of mass instruction, in spite of the cool title, it's not about seduction, scientific and seductive storytelling secrets. It's about the neuroscience of narrative, persuasion, and storytelling. Turns out that they're the most powerful influence tool that we have. The influence tool that has shaped the course of human civilization is the one least perceived as a persuasion and influence tool, the art and science of storytelling. There's been researchers for the past couple of decades that have done tremendous amounts of research into the neuroscience behind why storytelling works, how it works, and the best, most powerful way to utilize stories for healing, motivation, inspiration, problem solving, connection, you name it. I'm getting reports that people can't see anything. Is there some kind of weirdness going on? Just black screen? Let me see what's going on here. Just give me 1 minute, guys. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with the energy today, but all right. See if this makes any difference. All right. Let's try this again, guys. So storytelling, weapons of mass instruction is all about the neuroscience of storytelling, how to use stories to create connections anytime, anywhere, under any circumstances, for any reason. It's about how to tell stories that inspire, motivate, persuade. We call those alpha stories. Then there's other categories of stories. Stories that reduce resistance to persuasion. Okay, these are stories that will they don't add persuasion push, they remove resistance. They cause people to want to do the things that you want them to do by eliminating their resistance to it. Okay, and then we have what we call ninja stories, how to use stories as a delivery mechanism for other more advanced persuasion techniques. So if you've ever seen Tony Robbins or T. Harv Eker or Joel Bauer, or a lot of these high-level speakers who have people storming to the back of the room to buy stuff, there's a whole system that they employ to prime people and hypnotically program people to go and buy stuff. Okay, that's what we call the ninja stories module in this particular program. We're going to actually deconstruct some of the high-level persuasion and influence techniques used by guys like T. Harv Eker or Tony Robbins and people of that ilk, to get people salivating and rushing to the back of the room. And you'll learn how to do it for yourself. So if you have a coaching business, or you make any form of any part of your living through public speaking or by telling stories, this is something that will take your current level of ability and skill and just skyrocket it. The best part about storytelling is nobody can resist them. Storytelling is never perceived as a form of persuasion and influence. If you're marketing to women, you must tell stories, right? If you it creates persuasion and influence in the background. It's really powerful, but it's not done well, right? In other words, there's a lot of good storytellers out there, and if you're just a good storyteller, you're going to be super effective. But if you understand how to build a story, how to structure a story, the persuasion architecture that goes into making a story neurologically irresistible, then you can tell powerful, compelling stories that will cross the language barrier and make people want to do the things you want them to do. Okay, it's really powerful. It's probably the most challenging course I teach, because there's a lot that it presupposes you have the killer influence training or the CPI level training to do this. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free as a byproduct or a free bonus of tonight's training. Combined value is $4,487, but we're not done there. We're also going to include the Renegade Reframing course. Now, here's where it gets cool. Let me ask you guys a question. What if for every objection you encountered, for every limiting belief that you had or somebody else had, what if for every argument that you got into, you had at least 14 different ways to overcome that situation, change that limiting belief, win the argument, overcome the objection in seconds? How would that change your life? Renegade reframing is based on a relatively obscure aspect of NLP called sleight of mouth. Sleight of mouth is the art and science of conversational belief change. It allows you to quickly, easily, and automatically change a person's belief in seconds during normal conversations. There's at least 14 different patterns that allow you to do this, and that's before you actually start stacking and combining them. Tommy's asking, is SOM in this course? Yes. This is my approach to sleight of mouth in a much more user-friendly, easy to understand format. In fact, one of the cool things about this particular program, Tommy, is that we actually created a card game that goes along with this training. It's called the reframe game, right? Where you literally can sit around a table and someone gives you a belief, an objection, a diss, whatever. If you throw a reframe card at them and they've got to overcome your objection using the pattern on the card. And then if they successfully do that, they get to challenge you. You can turn it into a drinking game. You can bet money with it. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But when we started taking these patterns and giving you specific stems, specific templates, and then giving them the card game, the ability to just fly through the material, like you could learn all 14 patterns in a day and be good at it if you apply the gamification and the card game of it. And the reason behind that, once again, goes back to neuroscience, right? My good friend Seth, and longtime student, is in the chat, and he loves to do the research on things. How many people have ever heard that it takes like 10,000 hours to get good at something, to get a like master level at something? Anybody ever heard that? Right? Fun factoid, to create one new neurological circuit in your brain, it takes about 10,000 repetitions if you do it seriously. So to create one new nerve pathway in your body, one new circuit, takes 10,000 repetitions if you're serious. But if you're fun and playful, it takes 12, 1, 2, not 12,000, 12 to create that same nerve circuit if you're fun, if you're having fun and being playful. So with a discipline like sleight of mouth, what if you could shortcut the learning speed by a factor of 1,000? Do I have sleight of mouth as a course by itself with the cards? Yes, we sell this course, Tommy. We sell this course separately on its own, but you get it for free as part of the webinar. It's called Renegade Reframing. That's our approach to it. We don't do it exactly the way Robert does, because we want it to be more applicable and real world user friendly. This is our version. Yes, this is serious, but it's serious in a fun, playful way. But thank you. Obviously, you're someone who respects the power of sleight of mouth, and I've studied with every great sleight of mouth teacher out there. This, in my opinion, and I'm arguably biased, but for those of you who've done sleight of mouth versus those who've done Renegade Reframing, how would you compare them in terms of usability, ease of reference, things of that nature? Post that in the chat. Don't take my word for it. Talk to the people who've actually used this material. Total value on this is a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free. Total combined value on this is $6,484, right? We're also going to include, this is a program I don't teach very often, and I only do it for people who are hardcore persuasion, who want to be hardcore persuasion experts, for people who want to be able to take their hypnotic skills, their charismatic skills, and apply them to large groups of people. So this actually becomes much more relevant in the Instagram age, where people want to be influencers now, than it was prior to COVID. So this is called Charisma and Conversion, and it's hypnotic presentation skills for presenters and public speakers. I've always told my students, and I'm going to tell you the same belief that I have, is that the fastest way to build your business, to leverage what you do, is through public speaking. To simply get in front of a group of people, either virtually or in person, and demonstrate your skills in a powerful, effective, entertaining way that gives people the transformations and primes them to want to work with you in the future. That's what this program is. This is an expansion and an extension of the Killer Influence curriculum, the CPI curriculums, where you take all of the skills that you learn in the Killer Influence, Secrets of Personal Human Influence training, and you apply them to groups on a large scale. But it also teaches you persuasion architecture, how to present to small groups with a high degree of conversion capacity, how to present to larger groups, how to do a pain-centric approach, which works better in certain medical contexts as opposed to a heart-centered approach, which works better in more personal development type context or in business application context or things of that nature. That we teach you both approaches so that you can decide which form of architecture works for you. We'll teach you all the basic stagecraft skills, how to hold a microphone, how to move on stage, how to cheat the camera, how to do all these things, how to leverage that content, right? We revisit ninja stories, how to use stories as a powerful, positive delivery mechanism for advanced persuasion techniques, okay? We teach that all to you in the context of being someone who's on stage, who wants to inspire people to take the next step, to deliver your service or product in a most powerful, impactful way possible, in utilizing hypnotic presentation skills and to leverage that ability. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free as an expansion on the techniques that we're teaching you in tonight's webinar. Okay, it's really, really powerful, but it presupposes that you have at least if you're coming from outside of Planet David, you should probably have at least a trainer's training level certification from a classic NLP school to play with this, or you should have at least our Killer Influence or CPI 1 programs to make the most of this particular training. We're going to give it to you free because we want you to have the best of everything. So let's just review what we've got for you here. Right? You're going to get the Secrets of Human Influence home study package is the 17 video, 7-stage universal persuasion protocol, $2,497 value. We're going to give you Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets recorded live, $1,997 value. We're going to give you Renegade Reframing, how to instantly overcome any objection or change any belief. It's a $1,997 value. And we're going to include the Charisma and Conversion Home Study Program, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Presenters and Public Speakers, $1,997 value. Total value on this is $8,488 if you were to buy them individually, but we're not going to stop there. Okay. Today, we're going to give you the best deal humanly possible. You're not going to have to pay $9,391. You're not going to have to pay $5,347 or any numbers like that. You can get it all for one low installment of just $997. And all you need to do is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. For those of you who are a little on the fence, maybe this is your first time talking to me or seeing this guy in a vest telling you all this crazy stuff. You don't have to believe me. There's absolutely nothing for you to risk here. Take the program, train the training for 60 days. If on day 59, you're not on the fast track to making more money, being more charismatic, closing more deals, inspiring and motivating people, if you're not moving towards financial freedom faster because you now have the skills and abilities to win in any interview, performance review, or sales context you find yourself in, if you're not able to win more social encounters and find yourself becoming more irresistible than ever before, if you're not expressing and becoming the best version of yourself for any reason, all you got to do is pick up the phone or send us an email and I will refund your money 100%. No questions. Well, we'll probably ask questions, but we'll still probably refund your money anyway. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Okay, www.killerinfluence.com/go. And for those of you who like most stuff, those of you who are ready to level up, I've got some extra incentives for you. I've got some extra bonuses that I'd like to share with you if that's okay. And these are good for as long as I'm on the webinar tonight. The minute I log off, the fast action bonuses I'm going to share with you go away. The core program that I've just explained to you is good until tonight at 11:59 p.m. So for those of you who are ready to rock and roll, who are ready to jump into the Snyderverse, as I like to call it, we're going to include in your package a 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. This is a program we've been running now for 14 straight years. It was begun in October of 2010. And what we do is on the third Saturday of every month, we get together, and for the next four, and I literally go around the room and I say, Seth, what do you want to learn? Wolf, what do you want to learn? Kip, what do you want to learn? Keith, what do you want to learn? Tommy, what do you want to learn? And I write them all on the board. I step back, I look at it, I notice where all the connecting threads are, and I generate a lesson plan for you guys right on the spot. And for the next 2, 3, 4.5, 5 hours, we drill those skills until you can do them in your sleep. At the end of that time, you go out into the world, you apply your skills, come back next month, you do it all over again. You won't get a certificate from the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. What you will get is a skill set. You'll get a community that supports you. You'll surround yourself by people who actually are like you, who are moving in the same direction that you are, right? You will overcome that negativity bias because the people around you will build you up and boost you up and inspire and motivate you. And they'll be some of the coolest people you'll ever hang out with. I'm really proud of the quality of the people that have found their way into the Snyderverse. And I invite you to test drive it. I'm going to give you a 90-day trial. Just come in and hang out with us. And if you like it, after the end of 90 days, we'll show you how to extend your membership. If you got what you needed and you're ready to move out into the world, no harm, no foul. We wish you the very best. The best part is that we videotaped for the last 14 years that we've been running this program. We have videotaped every single session, and we've archived that information on the NLP Power website. We've archived some of it on our YouTube channel in the private membership area, and we've archived some of it on our Facebook group. We're in the process of consolidating that archive into one big Kajabi site. And as a active member of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, you will get full access to the entire 14-year video archive, content that's never been on YouTube. It's never been in a product. It's never been shared. Most of it's never been shared publicly. Okay. And you get to binge watch it to your heart's content for the full 90 days full 3 months that you're in the program. Once again, if you decide you want to stay, you'll have ongoing access to that. Right. And it covers everything from attraction and dating, law of attraction, manifestation, trauma resolution, accelerated learning, marketing, writing, persuading, healing, energy healing, remote influence. If it's within my skill set, if it's within face reading, body language, advanced persuasion and influence skills, right? If it's within my wheelhouse, it's on these videos and you can binge watch it to your heart's content. I will give you a little warning up front because this particular content is driven by the members attending that particular class on that particular day. There's a lot of overlap sometimes between one training and the next, and it's not quite as organized in terms of a table of contents and things of that nature as some people might like. But thanks to the advent of easily accessible AI, we now have a way of inventorying, indexing the content of each of those videos. And that's actually something that we intend on doing in the future. So as part of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, you're going to get access to me, my highest level people, a community of people who love you and want to support you. And you get the best thing and the most important thing, the opportunity to practice, the opportunity to actually get real world feedback in real time on your techniques so that you can become more effective out in the real world. Okay. Total value on this is $1,597. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Total combined value of everything we've talked about so far is $10,085. But we're not done there. For those of you who want to get started right now, who want to be able to watch a video, go out and start hypnotizing people immediately, we created this program. It's actually one of the programs I'm most proud of. It was one of my earliest programs, and it's the one that has actually probably brought more people into Planet David than any other program. It's called the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course. This was a program that I created for people who are impatient like me, who actually don't want to sit through 30, 40 hours of content and then go out and try to apply it. People who maybe want to sit for 45 minutes to an hour, learn some really cool stuff and go out and start doing that really cool stuff right away. So I created the Stealth program for that. It comes with videos, workbooks, transcripts, downloadable audios that you can listen to while you're driving. It comes with extra bonus videos on instant and rapid inductions, lie detection, hypnotic hot buttons, which are emotional bonding techniques, the 3 magic questions protocol that will take you from complete stranger to intimate partner sometimes in as little as 20 minutes if you pay attention to all the cues and you hit all the right buttons. It's really, really powerful. I'm really proud of it. It's a $997 value. We're going to give this to you absolutely free as part of your fast action bonus package. If you click that link right now, you're going to get access to this instantly, and you can watch one video and be hypnotizing people automatically within an hour of downloading it. I'm really proud of that. It's a fast action bonus for those of you who don't want to sit through 30 hours of content, right? I get it, right? I recommend you do sit through the 30 hours of content after you've gotten the fast start bug out of your system, right? Because there's lots and lots of gold in there, right? Total value on this is $11,082. And we're not going to stop. We got one more thing we're going to give you for those of you who are ready to take the full Monty, as we like to say it. We're going to include, as part of this training, a free VIP Anything Goes super event bonus ticket. This is going to give you free access to your choice of any single 3-day intensive that we teach. So we've got coming up a virtual healing intensive, I believe in June. In July, we've got the hypnotic laws of attraction training. We have several face reading trainings planned throughout the year. We may even give you a little extra bonus and give you access to the vibrational healing training that we've got coming up at the end of July. It's a $2,497 value. It's going to help you to systematically eliminate self-sabotage, heal your physical and emotional pain, remove blocks to success and limiting beliefs, find and remove the hidden negativity you didn't even know you had, clean up issues that just don't seem to go away, influence people anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance, manifest what you want whenever you want. It's really your call. The VIP bonus ticket allows you to be in the front row of any 3-day intensive and come away with the real world experience that makes the difference, that allows you to level yourself up. Okay. The best part about the VIP ticket is you don't even have to know what it is you want to attend initially. All you have to do is be registered in our database as a VIP ticket bonus or a VIP ticket holder. And when a training comes up that you want to attend, all you got to do is pick up the phone or send us an email, and we will put you on the guest list. Now, here's where the bonuses get really cool. This ticket does not expire. If it takes you 6 years to come to a live event, either virtually or in person, well, that ticket's still going to be good 6 years from now. If you want to gift that ticket to somebody else who you think might get more use out of it, you can do that. Let's say that training comes up and it sells out and you want to go, but you're too late. The training is full. If you're a VIP ticket holder, we will give you a seat. We will find and make a seat for you so that you can attend that training. If for some reason you're set to come to a training and all of a sudden something happens at the last minute, we get another pandemic, your jerk boss makes you work, the kids get sick, whatever. If for some reason you can't attend that training, all you do is you pick up the phone, you send us an email, we will move you to another training, right? This is your ticket, and it's you use it until you don't lose it until you use it, right? So you get the biggest bang for your buck humanly possible. Let's say between now and the end of time, we raise the prices of our events. If you're a VIP ticket, a VIP bonus ticket holder, you don't pay a dime ever. No matter how many times we raise the price, no matter where we're doing the event, if you have that ticket, it's your get in for free card, right? We'll make a seat for you. You're a VIP member. Okay, it's a $2,497 value. We're going to bonus this to you absolutely free for those of you who are ready to join the bandwagon and grab your Secrets of Human Influence home study program. Okay, $13,579 in total training product and value. We're going to give it to you for the low installment of just $797. It's our post Mother's Day super special. We missed our pre Mother's Day super special by just a couple of days. Okay. So here's what you get. Secrets of Human Influence home study course valued at $2,497. The Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you for free. I really like that course, but I would recommend you do Renegade Reframing first. Renegade Reframing is the art of and science of conversational belief change. It is the one next to Secrets of Human Influence. It is the course that I have gotten the most use out of, both therapeutically, influentially, in terms of creating the fastest change in the shortest amount of time possible, or the greatest degree of change in the shortest amount of time possible. It's a $1,997 value. Charisma and conversion is about leveraging all of your persuasion skills to mass influence levels, both virtually as well as in person. I highly recommend that you guys get in front of live human beings. Your content will be much better. When you share live content in front of an audience, it tends to go viral faster, as opposed to talking head videos, right? I'm not known for short level content. I'm known for long content. So I might know a little bit about what I'm talking about. We'll cover a lot of that stuff in charisma and conversion. It's a $1,997 value. We're going to give this to you free. Okay, you're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring 90-day trial program. It's $1,597 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value, completely free. And of course, the VIP Anything Goes super ticket valued at $2,497. Now, we're only going to give this to the first 15 people who click that link. So if you've already clicked the link, congratulations. You probably got one of these bonus tickets already, even though you didn't know it was coming. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, post Mother's Day, whatever. Total value on this is $13,579. You get it all for one low installment of just $797. And you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397 each if you need a little bit more time between those payments. Okay, so all you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/GO. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to click your links. When we come back, we're going to cover how to hack the human nervous system, the one technique that allows us to do 6 out of 7 processes for unstoppable influence that have people hanging on your every word. We're going to talk about the secrets of emotional bonding. And then if we have time, we'll look at how to actually remove resistance to persuasion in a quick, easy format. I don't know that we'll get through all of that, but that's my intention. And if you guys decide that you want to do something different when we get back, you tell me what that is, and I'm happy to change directions if that's something you want to do. There is a question about, question came up is what if I already have some of the products already in this webinar package? Not a problem. If you already have some of these programs already, all you need to do is pick up the phone and talk to Moss or email Mia. I prefer you talk to Moss because you'll get handled. Mia's great, but she works through email, and Moss has control of the phone. So you'll get help faster through the phone than you will through email. But if you click that link and you already have some of these products, not a problem. All you got to do is call us, let us know, and we will let you substitute any product or course in our inventory of equal or lesser value, so you can have an actual customized webinar bonus package that is just for you with no duplications whatsoever. We're not here to sell you stuff you already got. We only want to provide you access to what you need and what you want. So we're happy to do that. As long as what you want is of an equal or lesser value, we'll just plug it in, put it in your account. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, as they say in the UK, and you're ready to go, right? And we're here for you the whole time. If you have a question, if you have any sticking points, pick up the phone, let us know. We're here to help. You are supported both through the mastermind and through our customer service channels. If my people can't answer a question, they will ask me and I will answer it, right? So we're here for you, okay? We love you, we support you, we're good at what we do, but we can't multiply zeros. But you click that link, you're not a zero anymore, okay? All right, I'm going to give you guys about 7 minutes to finalize your stuff, post your questions if you have them. When we get back, we're going to train. All right, I'll see you in a bit. All right. I'm back from my break a little early. So if anybody has questions, please post them in the chat. See what I look like on my okay here. All right. And that didn't work. What's going on with this? All right, we'll see if that works. I apologize because I apologize, guys, because there's some kind of weird wonkiness going on with my system today, and I don't know what's going. I don't know how to explain it or how to work around it. So I'm just playing with different settings. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of drill down on some of the other techniques, what I consider to be the bread and butter techniques that we talked about at the beginning of the training. So the first one I want to talk about is the secret backdoor to the human nervous system. Okay, this is a technique that I teach pretty much in every webinar and every live training that I do. The reason that I teach this particular technique is because it is by far the most universal, concentrated, irresistible influence tool that I have found, while at the same time being the most desirable, ethical, and honest way for one human being to communicate with another human being. If it were theoretically possible for us to come off the biological assembly line, so to speak, hardwired for an optimal kind of communication, this technique would be probably 80% of that. This one technique, when we apply it, allows us to systematically, ethically force a person's neurology to pay almost exclusive attention to you. Okay. And one thing that we need to understand when we're dealing with influence, remember that when influence is all about relationships, it's all about how one person is relating to another or being related to by one or by a group or more people. And the currency of all relationships is attention. Okay. We're not going to talk about energetics. We're not going to talk about spirituality or mysticism or any of that other stuff that we do in Planet David. We don't need to. Functionally speaking, where attention goes, energy flows. The inverse of that is also true, by the way. Where energy goes, attention flows. Right? It's a cycle. It's a feedback loop. When people are getting their needs met, they're getting the right kind of attention. When they stop getting their needs met, that's when they start acting out. If they can't get attention one way, they'll get it another. What's interesting is that each and every one of us have our own unique flavor of attention, if you will. And in NLP, we're taught maybe 7-8 ways to tap into a person's flavor of influence or a flavor of attention. If that makes any kind of sense. We might call that values. We might call that belief systems. We might call it meta programs or convincer strategies or regular strategies, right? These are all patterns and different aspects that manage attention and the attention that we're paying. So how do we make this easy? The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given time are the words that just came out of their mouth. I'm going to say that 2 more times, and then I'm going to show you my PowerPoint or my OneNote, because I don't use PowerPoint for this teaching aspect of it because I make way too many notes. The most important words The most powerful words any human being can hear at any given moment are the words that just came out of their mouth. Now, you don't have to believe that. You really don't. I challenge you to test it. Prove me wrong. After this training, go out into the world with humans, amongst humans in their natural habitat, and use this technique and see what happens. Okay? By a quick show of hands, how many of you have used the echo technique? Desmond? Absolutely. Awesome. And did it work well? True or false? Did it work well or not well? Okay. So for those of you who are hearing about the echo technique for the first time, when I start asking for feedback, don't believe me. Listen to the people in the chat who have been utilizing this. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna experiment here with follow host view, speaker, gallery. Okay. I guess we'll just do regular screen share for this. We'll see if this works. Okay. So how to get maximum attention in minimum time, the echo technique, the most powerful way to communicate with human beings. When you use this technique effectively, it will literally force a person's neurology to pay attention to you and to the exclusion of everything else in the environment. Now, this is a little bit different. This is a little bit different than when I was reading to you about the 7 most powerful hypnotic language patterns that exist. This particular pattern, this echo technique, causes people to orient on you because each and every one of us moves through the world with a checklist that dictates what the very best anything is. Right? Let me jump out a PowerPoint just long enough to explain. You know what? I'll just go with this. Every human being on the planet, every nervous system on the planet is inherently self-centered and narcissistic. Now, when I say narcissistic, I don't mean it in a bad way. What I'm saying is that every nervous system on the planet is moving through the world looking for itself. And anytime we find someone who has any similarity to us, it fixates our attention and we want to know more about that person because we start checking boxes. How many boxes does this person check in my just like me category? To the degree that you have those matches is the degree that intimacy accelerates, the barriers to that intimacy drop, and you have depth, connection and identification. Identification is one of the most powerful principles that human beings across the globe are subject to. Now, I'm about to say something that could be construed as being non-inclusive or racist or prejudicial or whatever. Be that as it may. This is a truth that regardless of what you consciously believe about yourself, whether you believe you're inclusive or not, woke or not, racist or not, every nervous system on the planet is a bigot. Now, let me explain that very provocative statement. Every nervous system on the planet feels safer and more comfortable around nervous systems that have more things in common than not. Take a moment and think about the kinds of people you feel most comfortable around. Are they more like you or less like you? Chances are they're a lot more like you than different. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not attracted to novelty. I'm not talking about attraction. I'm talking about comfort. I'm talking about feeling safe. Okay? Stop for a moment and think about that, right? Whether the sameness is at the mental or emotional level, the belief system level, the skin color level, the gender, it doesn't matter. The more boxes the other person checks, the more comfortable we feel. This is where I check in with you guys. Give me feedback on what I just said. Is this true, more true or less true in your world? I'm not married to what you say either way, but I want to know if what I'm saying resonates with your experience. Richard says more true. Agnes says yes, it does. Okay, I'm not saying that it should be that way. Okay, this is not about the ideal of what we're aspiring to as a society. It's about what we've evolved to as a biology. Okay, because of this basic, fundamental, biological predisposition, any stimulus we receive from the outside world, pay attention, any stimulus that we receive from the outside world that matches our internal world will cause us and force us to focus our attention on the source of that stimulation. Okay. Now, if you come to a class like Defense Against the Dark Arts or Advanced Killer Influence, we may be talking about it a little bit tomorrow. We're doing our NLP certification tomorrow, so it's a little late. If you guys want to get in, we do have a hybrid version, a virtual version. If you want to get in on that, call Moss and see if we have any slots available, and we'll let you know what to do with that. But this identification principle, you can't beat it. It's going to be everywhere you go. So if you can't beat it, you might as well learn how to use it. Okay. And this identification principle that we're talking about forms the foundation of every form of rapport gathering technique that you can think of. Underlying it all is the identification principle. The echo technique is the simplest, easiest, most versatile way to trigger a sameness response in another human being. How do you do it? You simply repeat a person's very own words back to them in as close to the order and sequence that they gave them to you. I'll say that 2 more times. You simply repeat a person's words back to them in as close to the order and sequence that they gave them to you. Last time, you simply repeat a person's words back to you in as close to the order and sequence as they gave them to you. Now, when you do that, it will trigger a chain reaction of events, neurological events, perceptual events in that person's system that causes them to focus exclusively on you. It will trigger some other really interesting phenomena as well. As I just said, they will focus exclusively on you. If you've ever been at a party, lots of people, noisy, you're off on one corner, and someone from all the way across the room with their back to you mentions your name, and some part of you hears that and turns around and looks at the person, that was the identification principle in your autonomic nervous system being selfish. That was the autonomic nervous system scanning your environment for anything that was relevant to itself. And the moment it detected it, whether you were conscious of it or not, it blasted it into your conscious awareness, and you turned and looked at the direction that stimulus came from. When you intentionally engage in the echo technique, you 10x that phenomenon. Okay? It will cause them to focus exclusively on you, and it will start to ramp up their suggestibility. They will start to become more and more open to your influence. Okay? Now, this solves a lot of problems for us socially. By understanding and utilizing the echo technique effectively, you basically eliminate the problem of making small talk and eliminating boring conversations, right? How many of you, by a show of that's me in the chat, have ever wanted to talk to somebody really, really badly and couldn't think of one damn interesting or fascinating thing to say. Or you tripped over your own words, or you were so worried you were going to say the wrong thing that you didn't say anything, right? This is going to be the greatest thing you've ever experienced if you haven't experienced it already. When you start feeding a person's very own words back to them, it tells you exactly what to say, and it will prime your subject, the target of your influence, to keep talking and voluntarily give you more and more and more information about themselves at the same time. Now, here's what happens. This creates powerful signals of sameness to the listener. It amplifies their affinity to you. Remember, I said that there are 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence, right? This is one of them. You have authority, affinity, attractivity, and acquiescence. This will ramp up the affinity pillar, right? It will cause them to become progressively more connected, attracted, and positively disposed towards you. 80% of the words coming out of your mouth will be the exact same words that came out of theirs just a moment ago. They will think you are the most fascinating, insightful, comforting, charismatic person they've been with in years, if not their entire life, just from this. Again, you don't have to believe me. All you got to do is go out and do it. This triggers attractivity. That's 2 of the 4 pillars. Okay? It will make your listener feel heard, understood, accepted, and validated. When someone receives validation from a person that they like and trust, it raises that person's social status, which triggers the authority pillar. So now we've got 3 pillars, don't we? We've got affinity, we've got attractivity, where's the affinity thing? Now, the best part is anytime you get 2 or more pillars, you automatically get acquiescence. So here you've got 3. So you will automatically get the 4th one. So you will actually be hitting them with all 4 pillars using this one technique. We haven't even scratched the surface yet of what this thing does. Okay? In NLP, those of you coming to class tomorrow, we'll be talking about filters. I mentioned the universal persuasion protocol before. Sorry, I'm just trying to move this stuff around. Right? We talk about filters to a person's experience. The language patterns people use, the patterns of thought that people use, the amount of times that they run through that pattern before the body does something. These are all filters to their experience. When we use the echo technique, we automatically match every filter that they have. And we indirectly link them to their deepest emotional needs. Remember I said you want to control your state, you want to get rapport, you want to use your language to manage the state of the subject, you want to jump into whatever process they're running, and you want to emotionally bond to their values. That's what emotional needs are. Emotional needs are values. Okay? So by doing this one technique, you're going through 6 of the 7 steps in the universal persuasion protocol. You're also amping up affinity. You're amping up attractivity. You're amping up authority, which automatically gives you acquiescence. You're matching every single process or cognitive process they run. And you're doing it in the way that they most want you to do it. Okay? So before I go any further, What questions do you have, if any? Don't be bashful, guys. It's all right. I'm just changing my thing here. What questions do you have? No, you guys are good? All right. So before I go any further, let me just run through a little reminder here. For those of you who are on the fence, right? This is everything I'm teaching you is part of the whole killer influence system that we're talking about here. It's the Secrets of Human Influence home study course, valued at $2,497. It's going to include the weapons of mass instruction, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you free. You're going to get the Renegade Reframing, $1,997 value, absolutely free. You're going to get the Renegade Reframing home study course, $1,997 value. Charisma and Conversion. You're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597 value. Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis, $997 value. VIP Anything Goes Event Super Ticket, $2,497 value. You can get it all for one low installment of just $797. All you got to do to get yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Killerinfluence.com/go. Okay, so we finally got some good questions. So Charlotte's asking, can I use this to heal people gently, like without being forceful? 100%. You see, when you're a hypnotist or a coach or a mentor or a psychotherapist, the most important thing that you can do is create an energy of connection, openness, and compliance within the minds of your subject. To the degree that you can create that in the mind of your subject is the degree that these people will follow your lead and do what you say. So the short answer, Charlotte, is yes, you can absolutely use this to heal people gently without being forceful. The question that a question in the is in the other chat, the YouTube chat. So JB says, so echoing wouldn't come off as mocking. No. And here's how you make sure that that happens. The first thing to understand is you have to think about, why are you doing the echo technique, right? Most people, there is a way to screw this up. So I'm just going to give it to you. One of the things that that NLP teaches us to do, and my first approach to what became my echo technique was through NLP, but specifically through the lens of Kenrick Cleveland, and who I think is one of the best persuasion trainers on the planet. The problem with NLP is they want you to copy things that your system is not necessarily good at copying. So let me give you an example. When we teach the echo technique, and I may give you a demo in just a minute, just to show you how this works. When we copy a person's exact words, the only thing that we're copying is the words and the order that they use them to the best degree possible. Where NLP training tends to take us down the wrong path is they want us to copy more than just the words. They want us to copy the volume. They want us to copy the tonality. They want us to copy the timbre, which is the warmth or coldness of the voice. The problem with that is that we can't do it well. It's too much mental gymnastics for us. And so what happens is when we start to mimic those things, we come across sounding like we're making fun of that person. For several reasons. A, for the vast majority of people, they're just not that good at it. It's a skill set that you have to develop. Now, if you're an actor, you can probably pull that off, right? But for the average human being, not so much. The second thing is because you're spending so much time trying to copy the speed, the volume, the tonality, the timbre, right? The pitch, all the other non-verbal aspects of that verbal communication, linguistic communication. You're actually not present with that person. And so there's a disconnect, right? Not only are you, chances are not doing those things well, you're now in your own head trying to monitor everything, and you go into overwhelm. And so you become incongruent in your delivery. That's when you'll get flagged. Okay. And this is where a lot of people who are from the classical NLP world will say, if you're doing rapport skills from NLP and you get caught, and the person knows what you're doing, that'll piss them off. It'll only piss them off if you're not doing it well and you stop. Okay. Where you see a divergence in our approach versus some of the classical approaches is the only thing we care about is their words. Understand that? The only thing we care about is their words. And once that happens, it frees us to use those words in any tone we want, in any speed we want, at any rate that we want. Because of that, we're sameness within difference. In other words, when I communicate, you hear my words and they mean something to you and they trigger a whole cascade of neurological responses. And you believe, because the words I'm using came from you, that everything I'm saying is exactly what you meant. Okay? We call that a transderivational search. Okay? So here's the secret to hacking this. Here's the secret to hacking this. A, this is not a trick that you pull on somebody. Okay? If you view the echo technique as a language trick, it changes your perspective, it changes your frame. Okay? But if you embrace the idea that the echo technique on a neurological level is the most effective, efficient, emotionally and neurologically desirable way for one human being to communicate with another human being, that allows a person to feel heard, understood, accepted, validated, approved of, safe. And you're only doing it so that you can connect and understand that person better. If that's where you're coming from when you employ this technique, it doesn't matter if they catch you. A, they won't care. They won't care. Okay. If by some reason they notice what you're doing and they call you on it, all you got to do is say, look, I'm doing this because I want to understand you better. Is that okay? And I want to communicate to you that I understand you. Is that okay? Now, if they say no, you've got other issues. Okay. You're dealing with extra levels of defensiveness, extra levels of screening and security. And the echo technique will get you through that too, as long as you keep doing it. And that's where most classically trained neurolinguistic programmers, they kind of lose, they fail. And the reason for it is A, they believe what they were told about rapport, that if I keep doing a technique and somebody catches me doing it, that it'll piss them off. Well, if you're doing it congruently and from the right place, it doesn't matter. And it only matters if you stop doing it after that. Because if you stop doing it, the moment you stop, you've bought into their frame that what you're doing was inherently manipulative. And now it's true. Okay. So the idea about the echo technique is about where are you coming from? If you view it as a language trick, which a lot of people do, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people out there that can pull this off as a trick. But if you want to be congruent with yourself, if you want to move through the world giving people the thing they're seeking most, and this is the biggest piece, and this is why it's absolutely critical to use the echo technique. And I want you to think about it like this. Stop for a moment and imagine something for me. If you knew how to communicate with a person in such a way that they felt the most heard, understood, accepted, validated, approved of, attractive, if you knew beyond the shadow of a doubt how to communicate to that person so that they experienced all those things with you, and you deliberately chose not to do it. Who's the jerk now? Because that's what this technique does. Does that make sense? Don't believe me. Take this technique, go out into the world, and talk to humans in their natural habitat, in their natural environment, and notice what happens. Usually what happens is they will orient on you, they will pay an extreme amount of attention to you, and they will run off at the mouth. You can't get these people to shut the fuck up, right? Because they feel so validated, so empowered, so approved of, so safe with you, that they just want to give you more. And the more information they volunteer, the more information you have to work with. Okay? This works any place that language is involved. Text, email, Zoom, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, any place. As long as language is in play, the echo technique is valid and works. Okay. Questions about the echo technique? Okay. So I know that the YouTubers are on a little bit of a time lag. So if you haven't jumped, if you're still on the fence about getting your training, please click those links right now so that we can get you into the program and we can start mentoring you and giving you the help you need to become elite in your persuasion skills. JB says, I've done this a lot without even knowing it about echoing, and it works. Yes. And when you start doing it intentionally, it will 10x or 100x your entire persuasion game, right? And again, when I'm teaching beginners, and I don't want to say beginner in a belittling way, but people who are new to how we do things here at Planet David, and our approach to NLP and functional NLP versus the classical stuff that everybody's taught that nobody can fucking use. Sorry, did I just say that out loud? It's better, but I'm over it now. Richard says, beautifully said, I love it. Instead of waiting to say what I want to say, I'm making certain I understand what they're saying. Yeah, it truly does. It forces you as a practitioner to pay deeper levels of attention to the person in front of you. And it will force your language centers to shift and change so that you can actually remember longer and longer and longer strings of information. And if you need to go back and do a neurolinguistic analysis of it, which 9 times out of 10 you won't, because everything you need to do is contained in your echo technique, right? But it will increase your processing capacity and allow you to become more versatile cross-contextually. You'll never be at a loss for words ever again, right? Because they'll supply all the words. You just have to supply the direction, right? And that's our approach to influence is we guide. If we can't engineer the environment, which is what we teach you in the Killer Influence and Secrets of Human Influence training, we have a whole section on nothing but environmental engineering, embodied cognition studies, thought object relations theory, ways that you can prime the environment to psychologically prime people to behave and think about you in a certain way. That's all part of your Secrets of Human Influence training, right? So we come at influence from many different levels, right? And depending on what the situation you're operating in is, you have tools to do that. If you're in a place where you can't use fancy languaging or complex hypnotic language processes, you have behavioral things that you can do. You have environmental and spatial things that you can do. We have a whole system, a whole chapter in the Killer Influence Manual on proxemic hypnotic operators, how to manipulate the spatial relationships between you and other people so that you psychologically position yourself in their mind to think about you and view you in the most positive, authoritative way possible. Simply where you sit at a table will give you more influence or less influence. Simply standing to a person's right side or a person's left side will cause them to like you more or less. We give you all that stuff, right? How many of you guys, by a show of that's me in the chat, have ever gone to a networking function? Like where everybody's handing out cards and trying to promote themselves and do stuff like that. What if there was a way for you to not have to walk up to practically anybody and have the host literally directing people to you, right? You can do that through environmental and proxemic engineering. How you stand in relation to the bathroom, the food, the drinks, the host, the entrance, the coat room, where you stand in relation to that will change how people behave. And if you understand that, you can position yourself in what we call the catbird seat, where you can see everything and everything is directed at you. So you don't have to break the ice. Okay. The way you move when you're training or teaching people will change their cone of attention. And by moving in certain ways at certain speeds, it's like a metronome that moves them in and out of trance faster and faster. And as long as you're moving in a certain way, they're going deeper and deeper and deeper into a very profound trance state that makes them more and more open to your influence. It has nothing to do with the words I'm speaking. Everything to do with the way I'm utilizing the space and the movement of my environment. So communication happens on many different levels. Influence happens on many different levels. Okay. And I challenge any neurolinguistic programmer, classically trained, to catch half the stuff that we do, because it's not linguistic in origin. It's behavioral or environmental, right? But my point is, I'm not trying to be a dickhead and talk down about classical NLP or anything like that. But at the same time, you can either do it or you can't. It's really that simple. You can either do it or you can't. Most people who can't talk, right? So I don't have time for that, and I don't think you do either. But I want you to understand that there's many different ways to exert influence, right? JB says, it sounds like this would break down a lot of language barriers amongst people. 100%. When I teach people about relationships, and I may break down and do like a 3-day intensive on just relationships. But one of the things that I'm teaching my students now, and it took me a long time to codify this whole idea down into a couple basic sentences. It goes like this. The biggest barriers, the biggest causes of conflict is misunderstanding and misinterpretation. And the place where that breaks down the most is where intention and interpretation collide. So in NLP, we have this assumption. It's called a presupposition. And the way that NLP words it is analogous to the meaning of any communication is equal to the response it generates in the other person. So if I look at JB, or I look at MMA, or I look at Admit, or Richard, or Charlotte, and I say, you are a shining example of genetic perfection. And I'm coming from the heart. I truly believe that they are a shining example of genetic perfection. And they look at me and they say, how dare you insult me that way, you filthy pig? Who's right? Who's right? Richard says, you are. Who is you, Richard? The person receiving that communication or the person sending it? The sender. Great answer. Wrong. Here's the problem. In the world of communication, what you intend doesn't matter. What you intend does not matter. What matters is how what you do is received and interpreted. I'm going to say that a couple more times because this is a mind fuck. Pardon my French. Oops. And we've got the gremlin zone from hell. Let me just fix this really quick. I'll have to find out why this is doing that. Okay. Every time I restart the computer, everything resets. So what you intend doesn't matter. Now, maybe between you and the higher power, karma, that might matter, but it's the interpretation of your communication that matters. And I've seen more arguments with people who know this consciously, where a person says something, the person blows up at them, and this person says, no, that's not, you're wrong, that's not what I meant. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you meant. What matters is what they interpreted. So again, remember at the beginning of the training, I talked about the ability to control a situation, to be in control of a situation, is about who can adapt best to become the person they need to be to get the outcome. So if I communicate, going back to my shining example of genetic perfection, Suma, that's actually, I would like to say both, I would like to agree with you that both are right, but we have to qualify that. In terms of getting your outcome, in terms of functional communication, of getting people to behaviorally comply with what you want them to do, insisting you're right only creates more barriers. And this is the problem, because both sides are making the other person wrong. But on a functional level, the person receiving the communication is generally the person we're trying to influence, right? We need to change our projection to match the code by which they can receive it and understand it and interpret it in the way we intended. By definition, this person doesn't have the capacity yet to change how they filter your information. And so the onus to change or adapt falls on the person who's trained. Okay? I watch this with my girls all the time. My older daughter and my younger daughter, they get into these fights. My daughter says one thing, my other daughter interprets one way, and they go back and forth about who's right. Doesn't get you anywhere. Stop trying to be right. And that's probably the biggest takeaway here. As in neurolinguistics, in good neurolinguistics, okay, and I gotta, again, it's gonna sound like I'm bagging on my brothers and sisters in the NLP world. The problem with a lot of NLPers, or NLP as a discipline, is that it tends to attract really smart people. It attracts people who like to be in control. It attracts people who like to be thought of as the smartest person in the room. It attracts people who like to be right. The problem with what happens is people go into a classic training, they come out on the other side, and they use these amazing skills about understanding and parsing and dissecting linguistics and subjective experience and all these things, and they use it to make the other person wrong. Okay? Person will use a word in a certain way, and they'll attack the person because they used a word linguistically incorrectly, dictionarily incorrectly, whatever, and they'll use that to break apart that person's worldview. It rarely works. It usually creates more problems than it solves. Why? Nobody likes to be wrong. Nobody likes to be told they're wrong. Nobody likes to be made to feel stupid. Okay? The secret to being a master of influence is making the other person feel like the smartest person in the room, making the other person feel like everything they say matters and is important, and guiding them from within. Right? You have to lose the ego to be a master of influence. Doesn't mean you can't feel good about what you do and you can't be proud of your skill sets, but you have to lose the arrogance. You have to move through the world seeking to understand people and choosing your response rather than reacting rotely. Okay? So the echo technique is something I want you all to go out and play with. But before we go, there's two more things I'd like to cover. But before I do that, I'm going to ask, what questions do you have about what I've talked about so far tonight? What would now be a good time to ask those questions? Anybody? Bueller? So Rhino's saying, what if you're just a messenger to bring clarity, but they can't or won't accept the truth, no matter how you echo with them? They'll be far more likely, Rhino, to listen to you if you're echoing them than if you're not. Okay, there's a very powerful alliance creating mechanism that happens when you echo somebody's words. The secret is getting mad at the thing they're mad at, using their words and getting more mad at the thing they're mad at than they are. And you'll be amazed at how quickly that anger or resistance or whatever dissolves. Okay. The other mistake that people make when it comes to influence, and this is a metaphor I got from Kenrick Cleveland back in the day. Most people who learn these influence skills, they say, okay, I want to test this. I want to prove this works. And I say, okay, what is something you don't want to do? Right? And then they'll try to use these techniques to make them want to do it. Okay. So there's someone who wants to go south. You want them to go north, and they try to get a 180-degree turn. That's not usually how it works. I have a technique for that. Believe it or not, I do. I didn't learn it from NLP. I learned it from another source, but it's in perfect alignment with what we're doing in NLP. The secret to getting people to change directions is through incremental, graduated change, which requires you to have patience, sensory acuity, and the ability to calibrate where they're at. Okay. So admin Audacity is asking, can you echo and echo? 100%. You can echo and echo all day long. Okay. And when you echo their echo, they'll give you more stuff to echo. Okay. Does that resonate with you? Admin says, could be awesome. Yes, it is. Very awesome. Right. Some of you with ears to hear may notice what I'm doing. Right? Admit says, maybe that's love echoing an echo. It leads to love in many cases. Okay. When we look at the love equation, as I like to call it, what we're looking at is a combination of sameness and difference. So what does that mean? It means you're different enough to be exciting and interesting, and same enough to feel safe and comfortable, or similar enough to feel safe and comfortable and predictable. There's a balance, a ratio that needs to be maintained. Admin says, stop echoing me, Dr. David. I'll stop echoing you when you stop giving me the opportunity to do it. Let's see here. Rano's laughing his ass off over there. So Charlotte's saying that's going to be when I feel like an argument. It's going to be hard when you feel like an argument. Yes. Again, there's an algorithm. I'm going to give you a couple of things before we go tonight that I think are going to help you. The first one is there's a little saying that I give my children. I use it from time to time in my influence classes, and I use it a lot in my therapy classes. It goes something like this. You might want to write this down. When dealing with human beings and communication, seek first to understand before you react, so you can choose how to respond. I'm going to say that 2 more times, just for those of you who might have missed it. When dealing with humans and communication in general, seek first to understand before you react, so you can choose how to respond. Once again, seek first to understand before you react, so you can choose how to respond. Now, this is primarily good for when you are the target of a communication that triggers you. So let's say that I'm talking with Charlotte or Agnes or Richard or Admit or Rhino, and they say, David, you are a shining example of genetic perfection. And I get immediately triggered. I was like, what? How dare he objectify me that way? Right? And in my head, that's what I'm doing. And I'm about to lash out. I'm about to hashtag this mofo or get all woke on their ass or something like, whatever it is, right? Stop and say, wait a minute. This is how I'm interpreting that communication, but is that what he really meant or she really meant? So I put my rage, justified or not, on a shelf. And I say, pardon me, Charlotte, Wolf, Rhino, Agnes, Richard, you said this, and I interpreted it like this. Is that what you intended? Is that what you meant to say? Is that what you meant to communicate? Better than 50% of the time, what you interpreted is not what they intended. And if you just took that one moment to put the rage or the righteous indignation or the emotional storm that gets triggered on the shelf and ask, this is how I interpreted what you communicated. Is that what you meant to say? I'm going to go out on a limb here, test it, prove me wrong. 50 to 80% of all of your miscommunication, all of your hard feelings, all of your butthurt moments, they'll go away, provided you believe them, right? Because if you're so married to your initial emotional response that you refuse to listen to anybody's explanation, well, now the problem is you. Okay? People who are very, very emotionally charged, when they have a lot of crap floating around inside of them, are very quick to flare up when something touches on, when something sparks them. They're the ones that can most benefit from that little process. Rhino says, what if you can do energy readings and you can see the truth of what their true intentions were? Prove it. If you can't prove it, you don't own it. Right? And again, I'm going to sound very provocative. I do a lot of energetic work. I deal with a lot of psychic stuff. Nay, nay, nay. You go by the evidence. Okay? A lot of times your gut will be right, but it doesn't help you. Right? Unless you can have a video recording of that movie that you're receiving psychically, don't go by it. And I'm about to piss a lot of people off. As my Sifu used to say, please don't shoot the messenger. A lot of times in the medical shamanism, look, I'm in leprechaun mode again. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to keep it here. You go by the evidence that's sensory based. What can you see? What can you hear? Right? If a person clarifies an intention, if you don't believe them, that's on you. Okay. But if you want to, but if you're more intent on being right than being effective, keep doing it. Okay. Test it. Right. Usually when people are incongruent, their behaviors will show it. But here's the other thing I need you to understand is that when you ask people to explain what they intended to communicate, you're also giving them the chance to rethink what they said, walk it back, and restate it in a way that's not as harmful, hurtful, or triggering. Pardon me. So there's more advantage to following this protocol than to not. Okay. I have yet to see any situation improved by allowing a knee-jerk emotional response to take over. Ryan Augusta says, how can you be right and be effective? What's your outcome? What's your outcome? Is your intention in that situation to get a specific result or to prove something? Sometimes they're the same, right? And that's on you. But more often than not, they're not the same. Okay. You're filled with righteous indignation, the need to be right, as opposed to the need to be effective. As neurolinguistic programmers and agents of influence, our job isn't to be right. Our job is to get the result that moves our agenda forward, whatever that might be. Okay. So again, the idea here is seek first to understand before you react, so you can choose how to respond. Right? Now, you can choose to do that or not. If you like the results you're getting and you trust them and it's yielding fruit for you, keep doing what you're doing. If not, maybe it's time to look at other ways. Right? I'm not here to make anybody wrong. I'm here to help everybody become more effective. These are the tools that work for us. Test them. If they work for you, keep them. If they don't, chuck them. Find something better if you can. Right? As the longer I do this, I was very arrogant when I first started teaching this stuff because I had something to prove. And as over the years, and I kept proving this stuff over and over and over again, I stopped needing to prove anything, if that makes any kind of sense. And now as I'm coming into my third or fourth decade of doing this, I'm starting to realize that there's some really cool shit in this world. And I've been very grateful and honored to have been the conduit that a lot of this stuff came out. So I'm having a little bit of a proud papa moment when I think about you guys and stuff like that, because it's been a journey. So anyway, be that as it may, your job is to be more influential and effective. This is how you do it. Remember that there's three aspects to influence. There's identity. Who are you as a person, right? What are your beliefs? What are your values? What are your lines in the sand that you will not cross, right? What are your persuasion and influence strengths? What are the attributes that you possess that make you more charismatic, that make you more influential or authoritative? What are your persuasion limiters? What are the things that count against you? Are you excessively short? Are you excessively tall? Are you excessively overweight? Are you excessively skinny, right? Do you have what George Carlin used to call severe appearance deficit, right? Take an honest inventory of who you are, what you believe, what you're willing to do, what you're unwilling to do. That's identity level one. That's what we call the S1 level of influence, or the influence triad that we teach. S2 is all about intelligence. And when we say intelligence, we're not talking about IQ. We're talking about information. How much information do you have about your subject, the context, the environment, and the methods that you can employ? What are their pain points? What are their pleasure points? What are their filters? Right? What are their hot buttons? What are their deal breakers? Right? How much do you know about that person that you can use in your profile? Okay. And then the final one is the one we're talking about today. And that is the tools of influence. What are the tools that allow you to create the greatest degree of openness, acquiescence, and direction and compliance in the shortest amount of time possible? And who do you need to be able to effectively deploy those tools? Right? You'll learn all this in your Secrets of Human Influence program. It's all in there. It's all in the manual. It's all in the videos. So just so to be clear, and so my web guys and my administrative staff doesn't shoot me in the book, this is your last call. This is the Secrets of Human Influence home study course. It's going to come with the 17 video training, along with the Killer Influence Mind Control Manifesto, Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,997 value, The Secrets of Hypnotic Storytelling and Influence, based on neuroscience, Renegade Reframing, how to overcome any belief or overcome any objection or change any belief in normal conversation in seconds. It's a $1,997 value. You're going to get the Charisma and Conversion, $1,997 value. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. The NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, $1,597 value. We're going to give you that absolutely free. You're going to get the Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value. We're going to give that to you for free. And you get the VIP Anything Goes Super Ticket to any 3-day live event of your choice between now and the end of time. You don't even need to pick a program. You just need to be in our database. And when you're ready to come to an event, virtually or in person, we got your back. Total value on this is $13,579. This is our post Mother's Day super special. You can get it all for one installment of just $797 each, or if you need to, you can break that down into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you got to do to get yours is click your link, go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Okay. That being said, let's put the cherry on the sundae for the echo technique. I want to talk really quickly about something called emotional bonding. Now, emotional bonding is a program. It's an extension, if you will, of the echo technique. It utilizes the echo technique. And what we do with the echo technique is we have something called the Master Echo Formula, which I don't have time. Well, actually, maybe that's probably better. What you guys want to know about emotional bonding, or you want to know about the Master Echo Formula? Which one? We only have time for one. Which one would you like to cover? Just type it in the chat. Master Echo Formula, Desmond says. Okay. Master Echo, Charlotte says. Perfect. Jodian says emotional bonding. Come on, she's not the only one out there, folks. I know you're all out there. Emotional bonding, Kip says. Emotional bonding. Master Echo Formula, Echo. Oh, it's neck and neck, Echo, Emo. All right, I'll go as fast as I can, and I'll see what I can do. All right, so here's how it works. So when we talk about emotional bonding, we have to talk about the Master Echo Formula first. Here's the Master Echo sequence, or the Master Echo Formula. So if you're going to apply the echo technique out in the real world, outside of beyond the training wheels version that we're talking about right now, there are certain processes that you're going to use. You're going to ask the question. You're going to pay attention to the response. You're going to validate that response. You're going to echo their words. You're going to ask another question. Okay. So I think the best way to help you all with this process, both learning the master echo formula and the emotional bonding checklist, is to do a little improvisation, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to guide you. I'm going to do a little demo for you. And this was a process that I used many, many years ago, back in the day when I had my karate school in Coral Springs, Florida. And this was largely how I got people to show up and book an appointment, right? And it went something like this. I am going to be playing both sides of this, just so you know. I will be using the emotional bonding checklist. You'll know I'm using the emotional bonding checklist when you hear me here ask the question, what's important about? Okay, that's the flag. When you hear me say what's important about, you'll know I'm doing emotional bonding. Everything else will be the master echo formula. Okay, I'm front loading you that so you listen. So it would go something like this. Ring, ring. Good afternoon, Coral Springs Martial Arts Academy. This is David. How can I help you? Oh, hi, David. My name is Bernice, and I saw your sign, and I'm interested in learning more about karate lessons for my 10-year-old son, Josh. Oh, hey, Bernice. So you saw our sign, and you're interested in learning more about karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Yeah. Can you help me out? Yeah, sure, I can help you out. What would you like to know? Well, I mean, he's 10 years old, and I don't really know much about martial arts, but I read online that martial arts is really good for focus and self-discipline and coordination and self-defense. And I was wondering if your school offers those kinds of programs. Bernice, you're absolutely right. The martial arts is an amazing way to learn self-confidence, self-discipline, coordination, protect yourself, and really focus in. And you're going to discover as you go through the martial arts training, all those things are going to get amplified. So I'm curious, what's important to you about karate lessons for your 10-year-old son, Josh? Well, David, Josh is a great kid, and he's really, really smart. In fact, he's so smart that his teachers decided to move him up a grade. And that's kind of what has got me a little concerned, is that Josh is a little small for his age anyway. And he's going to be surrounded by big kids who are bigger and older. And I'm just worried that he might feel a little intimidated. And I'm afraid he might get picked on a little bit. And I heard martial arts was really good at helping kids to protect themselves against bigger, stronger people. Bernice, you're 100% right. So just so I understand you better, so Josh is a great kid. He's really smart. He's so smart that his teachers actually moved him up a grade. That's amazing, right? But he's going to be around all these bigger kids, and you're afraid that he might get picked on by these bigger kids. And you'd heard that martial arts was a great way for smaller people to protect themselves against larger people. Is that true enough to be true? Yeah, David, that's exactly it. Can you help me? Bernice, 100%. Let me explain something. You may not know this about martial arts, but martial arts for centuries has been one of the most effective ways for small people to protect themselves against bigger, larger, more aggressive opponents. It allows young, smart people like Josh to really protect themselves, but it also gives them the added benefit of increased focus, discipline, coordination, and it allows them to really apply that training to other aspects of their life. So as a byproduct of this, you're going to find that Josh will become more focused, more disciplined. And when those kids try to pick on him, he'll be able to stand up for himself and protect himself and become less of a target for people who might want to bully him. Does that sound like something that you'd like to do? Oh, that sounds amazing, David. How do I get started? What do we have to do? Well, there's two ways that you can go with this, Bernice. We have two programs that we offer. You tell me which one is best for you. We have program A, which is 2 private lessons and 1 group class. It comes with a free uniform. It's a $20, it's a minor fee. It's only $20 for the two classes plus the group class. And I have an opening today at 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. and I have one at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Program B is 2 group classes and 1 private class. Also comes with a free uniform. It's the same amount of money either way. Which do you think would be a better fit for Josh, Program A or Program B? I wondered how he would do in a group class, but I think having the 2 private lessons and allowing him to kind of know what he's going to be doing before he gets into the group class might help him a little bit more. So I think A is going to be good. Okay, so you think having him in 2 private lessons before he goes into the group class, so he knows a little bit more about what's happening, would make him more comfortable, and you think that would be a better fit? Yeah, I think that's probably the best approach. Great. So do you want to bring Josh in today at 3:30? Tomorrow at 5:30? Which is better for you? I think 5:30 tomorrow is going to be better because I can make sure he has his dinner, his homework's done, his head will be clear, and he could probably use the exercise. So yeah, I think tomorrow at 5:30 is going to be the best approach. Oh, that's fantastic. So Bernice, I'm going to pencil you and Josh in for tomorrow at 5:30. I will get done. We're going to take down your email, your phone number. We're going to send you a confirmation, and we'll see you both tomorrow for an amazing experience. I can't wait to meet you. David, thank you so much. I'm really excited. Josh is going to be thrilled. I can't wait to really see how he does. I'm predicting good things for all of us. We'll see you tomorrow. You have a great day. Take care. Click. Okay. What'd you learn? What did you notice about that interaction, if anything? CJ says, I'd like to attend the NLP Mastermind group on 3rd Saturday of the month. Live events work better for me. Thanks. Good. Click the link. Work it out with Moss. We'll get you into the program. Okay. Rhino says, how is it so seamless and easy to understand? And why does it feel like zero resistance, like nothing is out of alignment? Because I spent a lot of time doing this. Charlotte says, sales or sales, the feeling should feel good. Yeah, because I'm not selling. Did you guys I wonder if you guys picked that up. During that whole interaction, how much of what I said was original? How much of it? All of it was original, or was the vast majority of it Bernice's words? Maybe 10% of what I said was original. That's the master echo formula. That's guiding the conversation from within. Okay. I did not sell her on anything. What I did do was figure out what she wanted to buy. And I showed her how to get it using her very own words and her emotional needs to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, it pretty much works just like that. This is a complete and total game changer. Okay? You will have to probably get over some of your issues regarding features and benefits presentations and stuff like that. But the moment you tap using the Master Echo formula and the emotional bonding checklist, the moment you tap into a person's emotional needs and you link them to what you offer, the only thing you have to do is keep repeating it. And they will tend to do what you want by default, not because you told them to, but because they want what you're offering. That's what they've been looking for the entire time. And you're the only one that's been able to show them how to get exactly what they want the way that they want it. Okay. Some people are natural echoers. Okay. And it comes out. It's not until they turned up 9 out of 10 times. It was pretty cool. The only time that they didn't show up a lot of times is if I screwed that up. Okay. Or somebody else set the appointment. Okay. But does it work that way? Yeah, it really does work that way. Okay. So for those of you who've been on the fence, what's important to you about learning how to influence and persuade on the level you just saw me demonstrate? And if there were a way for you to do that, how quickly might you want to take advantage of that? What's important to you about being able to do that? Right? If you know you want it, click the links. We'll take care of the rest. Just show up. Okay. All right. That's all I got time for. Hopefully, I would recommend that you go back and you review the last 15 or 20 minutes of this video multiple times, transcribe it, deconstruct it, compare it to what you see and hear in your package. For those of you who are getting the webinar packages, go back and compare the theory to what I demonstrated. Utilize what you saw as a template and just practice, right? But have fun with it. The secret is to be playful with this. The fastest way to learn none of this is to try to learn all of it. The fastest way to slow down your learning is to be too serious. The more playful and fun and cherry picking you are, the more rapidly this will pay massive dividends for you. Okay? So on that note, in the words of the immortal Carol Burnett, I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh or sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say so long. Good night, my friends. Click the links. We'll see you on the other side. I love you all. Good night. God bless. Let's rock the world. Take care.